It's time to cross the line.
It's time for the March of Champions.
Time to put up.
Or get put down.
It's time to unleash.
It's time to come unglued.
It's time to prove it on the field.
Time for one more push.
One more step.
One more play. Time to rock this house.
There's only one Oklahoma.
This is Oklahoma football.
Welcome to College Football Saturday. And Oklahoma football is presented by the Oklahoma Energy and Resources Board. Tonight, it's the Tennessee Chattanooga Mocs and the fourth-ranked Sooners of OKLAHOMA.
Smile when you say it.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tim Brando. My running mate, Spencer Tillman, dragged me out of the bullpen a couple of weeks early, and I said, that's fine. I'm ready to go. And, this is a team that legitimately has a shot at making a run for the national title.
And it all begins with defense. And despite the fact that there's some questions on that side of the ball, Timmy, they're a well-coached team. And I've said it, and I believe it in my heart, this is very much a coach's game at the college level, and they've got one of the best in Bob Stoops.
When you look at one of the great rookie records of all time at quarterback, Sam Bradford as a trigger man had that kind of season, and I don't think there's any question it all begins with him offensively.
Well, they say that good quarterbacks know how to do things. The great ones know why they do what they do. Tim Tebow may have won the Heisman Trophy, but this guy finished ahead of him in pass efficiency. The numbers bear it out there, 176.53, ahead of Tim Tebow, who took home the nation's top prize for an individual performance. And, of course, it takes parts. It takes individuals to make it happen. Number 14 doesn't have the great success without the poise in the pocket there, and Jermaine Grisham on the other end of that receiving ball there. Again, look at the stretch play here. It sells it, and an outstanding job of Joaquin Iglesias working the back end line. Toughest place to score on the field. And then Manuel Johnson will come along the way and help him down the field, stretching it vertically. So on the ground, through the air, number 14 has got many weapons. He's an outstanding performer, Timmy.
Doesn't hurt when you have that kind of triple threat. Iglesias, Grisham, and of course, we talked earlier about DeMarco Murray. Those are outstanding players that you can turn to. And Spencer, another one of your Oklahoma Sooner friends has some news about some offensive linemen. They're pretty big. It's a very big offensive line.
They're big and they're tall. Of course, with Lodeholt out there at the left tackle position, that's a strong unit to be sure.
And Paul Thompson, a name that you'll remember. I know this, when we were trying to make it from the truck to the booth, we got stopped about 5 times today. Autograph seekers are all over him. Let's see how he does in his debut on the sidelines. Paul, how are you?
I'm doing good. Yeah, definitely a big name. It's Sam Bradford, and a lot of people are going to be interested to see what his production is like, and will he be able to reciprocate the numbers that he had as a freshman. Going into this year, he'll continue to have the help from a solid offensive line. Probably one of the more deep offensive line that has the most depth, and a team that is returning a lot of starters as well. So starting out on the left side is, I think, the most recognizable guy, Big Duke Robinson. But again, I talked about the depth. They got a guy, Trent Williams, as well, who has a lot of experience, and pro people think he might be one of the best prospects of anybody else. And you guys know that definitely a quarterback that needs to be successful has to have a solid offensive line.
There's absolutely no doubt about that. And Spencer, Trent Williams, when you think about how good he is, he can't crack the starting lineup.
Well, look, he may be in the backup role, but of course, as our quarterback just told us, folks, I looked at him yesterday, Timmy. His footwork, it's the best footwork out in that football field. Make no question about it. He may be the best athlete they have, even better than Lodeholt out there at left tackle.
Well, Emily Jones has got some news about some outstanding defensive personnel that we'll be keeping an eye on as well.
Well, guys, defensive coordinator Brent Venables for Oklahoma said this defensive line has the potential to be as good as the defensive line he had back in 2003. Now, you'll remember that was a pretty salty D-line. They had Dan Cody, Tommy Harris, and also Dusty Dvorak. All three guys were named all Big 12. He thinks this year's unit could be just that good. Thanks in large part to the play of defensive end Austin English. The junior defensive end is a pass rusher extraordinary. He came up with 9.5 sacks and 13.5 tackles for loss last season. That's despite missing 3.5 games with a broken bone in his leg. You can bet that number 33 will be all over the quarterback today. Keep your eye out for him. It should be a good one here from Norman. We are kicking off the 2008 college football season here on College Football Saturday. Should have a good one coming up for you next. Stick around. We've got much more to come. Kickoff is right around the corner.
We welcome you back. What a beautiful setting that we have on this late August evening. Gaylord Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium, Owen Field, 114th season of college football in Norman. There's Rodney Allison, now in his 6th year. Former quarterback at Texas Tech, was the MVP of the old Southwest Conference back in 1977. Coach Brett Favre at Southern Miss on the staff of Curly Hallman. Went on to work for Terry Bowden, later Tommy Bowden. He's been around and is trying to do something special, playing a couple of games to make a lot of money, which can help in the arms race, even in the Southern Conference, which, by the way, at the 1AA level, Spencer, has been tabbed the SEC of Division I AA, and I believe it.
Well, with the likes of Appalachian State in there, that's to be sure a strong, very strong division. That's where Coach Allison is trying to get this program back. He's gutted it and had to build from scratch. So it's been a long haul for him, but believe me, if anybody's up to the task, this guy is. He's old school, Timmy, big time.
Much of tonight's 10th celebration is all about the era of this man, Bob Stoops. You see the numbers, you know about the national titles, the Big 12 consecutive championships they're coming off of. What a program, a proud tradition reborn the moment he got here in Norman.
Well, he gets it, does Bob Stoops, and yesterday he came out just to tell you the kind of servant's attitude he has. It's near 100 degrees out there, and he brings each of us a bottle of water for the entire Fox group, and I'll tell you, it's been outstanding to work with him off-season as well. Bob Stoops is a class act.
Tennessee Chattanooga won the toss, selected to receive Matthew Moreland, the freshman, out of your old hometown. Tulsa will be teeing it up and booting it away. We'll also see Jimmy Stevens, another freshman, a redshirt freshman, will be handling some of the kicking chores as well as they make a transition in special teams this year.
He's out there for a reason. He's the Sooners' long gun, and you'll see his big foot here.
And back deep for Tennessee Chattanooga, it's Jordan Hazard. And he is beyond the 20 and knocked down at the 22-yard line. And the stop was made by number 11, Lindy Holmes, down there on special teams. And there you see young man Jared Galt. They'll run the zone read offense. Junior, 6'3", 220-pounder, out of Boiling Springs, Mississippi. Came from East Mississippi Community College. He's more the runner of the two quarterbacks. We will see Tony Pastore a little bit later on, a young man that's more of a drop-back passer. Play fake, and he rolls to the right-hand side, throws, and it's nearly picked off. Dominique Franks had a shot at it. The cornerback on that side, he was looking for his wide receiver, Blue Cooper.
Coach Allison trying to get his team to move out of the pocket early in this contest to kind of loosen up and get that Sooner defensive front pushing up the field, and maybe they can come back with some of that zone read and have some success, because they know it's going to be a long day with that front four of the Sooners.
Chris Pitchford comes wide to the bottom of your screen. Oklahoma showing blitz. Good pressure up front. That handoff went to Errol Wynn. He was stopped in a hurry by Gerald McCoy, the defensive tackle. We take a look at the guys that are up front for Tennessee Chattanooga. This is a very young group led by Gallion, the center. Giles Hurlis, Elliott, and Haar will be flanking him. And the backs and receivers, Errol Wynn, whom you saw a moment ago. Blue Cooper's the deep guy. Chris Pitchford will get a lot of underneath passes through the course of tonight's game. Call it 3rd down and 9. And they go again with Errol Wynn. Try to delay, but Oklahoma would have none of it.
Well, at the snap of that ball, Tim, what they did is they came down, did the Sooners, and from a cover 2 look to a single safety, meaning they had an extra body around the line of scrimmage. One more man than the Mocs were able to block, and the Sooners whole serve on their first outing.
Gerald McCoy, the sophomore from Oklahoma City, made the stop. So a punt formation now coming for Tennessee Chattanooga. Dominic Franks will be back deep for the Sooners, standing around his own 40-yard line. And Craig Kamay will be punting it away. He's had a difficult summer, only averaging about 35, 36 yards in the scrimmages that have been held so far. Got a low snap. We've seen a lot of block punts already on this opening day of college football. It does get a bit of a Tennessee-Chattanooga bounce, but will nestle at midfield, and that's where the Sooners will take over 1st and 10 with outstanding field position, only a 27-yard boot, but the good news, no return for Oklahoma.
You know, Tim, a constant theme throughout this game, as we've seen on the landscape of college football in week 1, execution early. Everybody's struggling. We saw with teams that had a built-up tradition of fine execution. We saw Virginia Tech get beat as a result of poor special teams play.
Beamer ball got a return to sender today, courtesy Skip Holtz. Sam Bradford runs the show. 70% completion rate a year ago. Tops in the conference. And to no one's surprise, it's DeMarco Murray to take the ball the first time over the left side. And Aaron Adams comes in there, make the stop. Joined by Chris Lewis Harris, the cornerback of Tennessee Chattanooga. Out of the shotgun, Murray remains in as the lone setback, and they run the quick hitch. That's Manuel Johnson, the split end. He has a first down inside the 40 to the 39-yard line. Take a look at our Oklahoma resource board and energy lineups. And you see Duke Robinson, what a leader he has been at the guard spot. This is a group that averages 6'5", 317, the seniors. They're the backs and receivers. Iglesias and Johnson are go-to guys. A bootleg. Bradford finds Johnson. And he's inside the 30, won't go down, makes it all the way to the 25-yard line, much to the appreciation of the Oklahoma partisans.
Well, again, it's all about execution, and you watch number 14. You know, Sam is a tremendous head guy. In other words, he understands distribution of the field, and when the ball is loose and you've got a great route run on a little hitch, taking what the defense gives you, nothing else. A little 5-yard cushion, that's enough for the completion and a first down.
Chris Lewis Harris again making the stop. There's the quick out. Nice work by Jermaine Gresham, the tight end. Boy, what a find he is as we look at the Tennessee Chattanooga defense. This is the way they line up in a 3-4 set. Beeman, Evans, Norfleet, Brown. They've gone from the 4-3 to the 3-4. Newsom will be up. Aaron Adams, Joseph Thornton, the other linebackers. And the handoff goes up the middle. Not much this time. Aaron Adams again to make the quick stop.
I'll tell you, Aaron Adams, number 32, has been really active in the middle for the Mocs defensively, and it's really shows some discipline because the Sooners have been stretching the field horizontally with some swing pass, and a lot of times if you get over aggressive as a middle linebacker, you tend to chase yourself out of a play, but he's been staying home in the middle of the field, making big plays.
Matt Clapp is in at fullback, trying to lead the way for DeMarco Murray, and Murray gets inside the 15 to the 14 for a first down.
We're talking to Kevin Wilson, the offensive coordinator for the Sooners. One of the things he said, we're going to be looking to see this offensive drive if it's clean, if we're executing properly. So far, the Sooners on schedule.
Chris Brown has come in now at running back, and he carries it. Nice hole off the left-hand side. Really tripped up himself as he was going. I'm not sure if Tennessee Chattanooga was there to cover him up, but that was about it. He actually just lost his footing inside the 10-yard line.
Well, it's just that offensive line with the Sooners with Lode Holt leading at that left tackle position, double tight formation, a little bit too much for the Mocs.
They're going hurry up in this case, too, trying to keep them off balance. There's the quick pitch. Goes to the wide side by Brown, and he is in there. Touchdown. Boy, Clapp made an outstanding block, leading the way, the fullback, number 34, Spencer. And Brown knew exactly where to go.
Well, Brown was headed for the end zone, and you can see it on the corner here. The play is headed this way here, and he's going to find the end zone. Hell bent for election is Brown trying to make that corner, and he does a tremendous job of getting there, finding the flag in for the score. Sooners up by 6 and want to add up.
Give me Stevens to add it. Didn't take long. A 50-yard drive culminates with Brown taking it in, but everyone got into the act. Gresham had a reception, and DeMarco Murray had more than a dozen yards of offense.
What can Brown do for you?
Tonight's game is brought to you by Oklahoma's oil and natural gas producers and royalty owners and the OERV. We are Oklahoma proud. Tim Brando along with Spencer Tillman, Emily Jones, Paul Thompson, happy to have you with us. And it was really fun, that pregame show that we had going on. Dean Blevins, another old friend, we got a chance to see. There are Oklahoma players scattered all through broadcasting.
Look, this is a partisan crowd. We all know that. And it's fun, though. I mean, get a chance to see Dean, the old quarterback.
Absolutely.
And, just great stuff. Billy Sims, I think, was here early. Had to head back to Dallas. Barry came up and visited with us a little bit in Switzer.
Jordan Hazard and Rayshon Ball are back deep. It's Hazard again. Oh, nice stutter step on his part. And he's corralled at the 28-yard line. And it's Lindy Holmes again, master on special teams down there to make the initial contact.
Yeah, we get locked into thinking execution is something that you only pay attention to either on the defensive side or the offensive side of the ball. But on special teams, a missed tackle, they're down by the Sooners. So, again, all three phases of the game will be scrutinized for execution.
Once again, Jared Galt operating at quarterback. Single back, and they go with the spread offensive attack. A lot of pre-snap formation movement, yes. Joseph Pittman, the tight end, in motion. And the pass is underthrown, and again, a lot of pressure from Oklahoma. Ryan Jackson, the corner, was coming in. He was over there to cover.
It's clear to see exactly what Jared is doing with his offense. He's trying to move the Sooners and take advantage and use their speed, the Sooners' defensive front, against them. You get guys moving one direction, move in the pocket. Again, it gets kind of disheartening if you're a defensive lineman because you can't get to the quarterback, showing you play action one way, going the opposite.
And we got the flag down. May have had some premature movement. We do. That's the preliminary indication. That's Chris Harr, the sophomore from Chattanooga, Tennessee. As you see Rodney Allison look on. Here's the Oklahoma defense. An outstanding front led by English. Taylor, McCoy, and Beal up front. The linebackers, Reynolds coming off the ACL injuries. The safeties and the corners are exploitable. That's the book on this Oklahoma team. We're not going to run it too well against them, though. Errol Wynn again trapped just as he was handed the ball. The Sooners gobbled him up.
Yeah, Gerald McCoy in there on the stop again. It's all that active guys out there. Austin English also in on the tackle as well. Look, this is about as active a group front four as you'll ever find. I personally believe they're the best front four in all of college football. You're not going to run directly at them, so you got to move the pocket, and that's what the Mocs are doing. It's their best chance of success against the Sooners.
And they've really got a lot of depth to go with it. You know, the best news for Oklahoma's secondary is how good and how deep that defensive front really is. Make their lives a lot easier as this season goes on. Third down and long, and there's a quick hitch caught by Clint Woods, number 11. 6'2" junior from Birmingham, Alabama. Stopped immediately by Nick Harris, the strong safety, a big-time hitter in the history of this Oklahoma football program. And we've seen plenty of it.
Yeah, look at the speed of the convergence here. The four shirts of the Sooners around the ball, immediately their conversion. Not very much time between the time they receive it, and the Sooners are all over. Big-time defense by the Sooners.
Harris can play almost any position in the secondary. You see Dominic Franks back deep. Jeff Lloyd to boot it away for Tennessee Chattanooga. And again, that one almost blocked.
I think that might have been tipped, Kenny.
Dominic Franks, a shoestring tackle. Well, he may have saved a long run. Joseph Thornton with a big-time tackle for the moving Mocs. Otherwise, he may have been off to the races. Timeout. Sooners lead by 7 early on. It's a great time to be alive in Oklahoma. Sooners leading it by 7. 1st and 10 at the 46-yard line of Tennessee Chattanooga. There are 2 freshmen in the secondary, Jason Dothert and Chris Lewis Harris. For this Chattanooga team, as DeMarco Murray takes it on a stretch play over the right side, and he gets ahead for about 5 yards. Coming up to make the stop, Tony Swafford, the free safety, number 20, junior out of Hickson High School in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
And Tony had to come a long way from that safety position to make that play. That's where you get him free, and you're going to see him come from depth into your frame, into about right this area right here, and Swafford finds that gap there, makes an outstanding open field tackle.
2nd and a long 5. Bradford out of the gun. Markers are down. Murray gets the screen, and he's got plenty of room. Another flag flies at about the 32. He's down to the 16-yard line before Rayshawn Ball, number 1, made the stop, but we'll have to check the flags.
And we've had a ton of them already. You know, execution or lack thereof a problem. We aren't even, 10 minutes into this contest yet. But, you know, they're going to be nervous. The mocks came out yesterday. We were joking about how the players were wide-eyed, had their cameras out. Haven't traveled in,
2 fouls
since 2002.
on the play. Offsides on the defense. Holding. Number 73 of the offense. Penalties were offset. Replay 2nd down.
I mean, it really is amazing, Tim. I mean, this team, just to kind of give you a sense of how big and new this experience is for them, not since 2002 have the Mocs been on an airplane.
Yeah,
Isn't that Tim?
Speaks volumes. It does. With this game and the matchup that they have with Florida State, they will net $975,000 and are likely to probably gross somewhere in the neighborhood of $750,000 after you take out the amount of money that it costs to fly. Bradford's pass is caught by Manuel Johnson again, and he's been very effective. That's his 3rd catch of the evening. He's ushered out of bounds at the 32-yard line by Chris Lewis Harris, one of the aforementioned freshmen.
Well, again, watch the eyes of your quarterback front side initially, and then White stays to that front side. No need to come off of that play. And again, the Mocs are doing a good job of keeping the Sooners in front of them, though, playing solid defense.
Continuing to get to the line of scrimmage in a hurry, not allowing Tennessee Chattanooga to make any substitutions.
Sooners getting the call from the sideline here.
Play fake to Murray, and he's looking long. The crossing pattern is there for Johnson. Manuel Johnson down to the 2. Chris Lewis Harris again makes the stop. Boy, he had Quentin Chaney running the post, and he was open as well, and I thought Tennessee Chattanooga made a pretty good adjustment to him, and then he found Johnson.
But watch where the play's coming here. The shallow cross, late developing. That's a beautiful play, late in its development, but at the end of the day, when you're running people out of there versus that cover 2 package, underneath the most vulnerable part of the field.
Murray takes the handoff, catapults into the end zone. Touchdown, Oklahoma.
Well, sometimes you just got to strap it up. Here's the soft spot. You have a little pull action by the right guard and the tackle just getting their head upfield, and again, goes in for the score. The Sooners did a great job of controlling the ball throughout the course of that drive. The Sooners doing a number of visits.
Jimmy Stevens will attempt the point. The Sooners have had it twice. They've gotten touchdowns on both occasions, taking advantage of quality field position. DeMarco Murray takes it in. Everything is okay in Oklahoma.
Welcome back to North. Sooners on top of the Mocs of Tennessee, 14-0, and joined by a man that Sooner fans know all too well, Jamal. Current.
Unfortunately, we're having some technical difficulties with Emily's microphone. Hopefully, we'll be able to charge that battery and get back down to her shortly. That was a 46-yard drive, only took 4 plays. A minute 17 off the clock, and DeMarco Murray polished it off with a 1-yard run. Matthew Moreland will kick it away. Back deep again are Jordan Hazard and Rayshawn Ball. one going in the direction of Rayshawn Ball. He'll take it out of the end zone. Oh, he who hesitates never want to hesitate. It was almost like that old saying from Jerry Glanville, did she peak? I believe he peaked a little bit that time.
Sometimes you go down the field, you have your high heels on. You got to take them off to make a play, you know.
And he stopped shy of the 15-yard line. We've got an injured Sooner on the field. That is number 28 for Oklahoma. Down on the playing field. Travis Lewis, reserve linebacker, redshirt freshman from San Antonio, Texas. And they're looking at the knee, unfortunately. By the way, we had a major injury in college football today. Beanie Wells of Ohio State during the game with Youngstown State, and it appeared to be a non-contact injury. As a matter of fact, Charles Davis, who called that game, we had a chance to visit with, there's some conjecture that it might be turf toe, but I know you felt differently about that, having watched the replay. The Ohio State running back, who would mean a lot to that team, and its opportunity to challenge for national honors this year.
Yeah, well, I'm no doctor, but I have had what they call impingement spurs, turf toe.
Yeah.
And also had some surgery on my ankle where that calcification builds up, and it looked like a foot was right on the top of the bridge of his foot, and a lot of bones in the top of that foot, and he grabbed that arch, and he was wincing in pain. So to me, I don't think it was a turf toe. I thought it may have been a small fracture of some sort in the arch.
Travis Lewis out of Robert E. Lee High School in San Antonio, Texas, being assisted off the field. He's trying to make it on his own, but having some difficulty. Jared Galt again comes back into the game. Cooperated quarterback for Tennessee Chattanooga. This young man injured his ankle, did Galt, back on August the 11th. And he's wearing a brace. A professor on campus came up with a type of ankle brace that can really keep a high ankle sprain from bothering you as much. In fact, the brace has a sole that goes all the way to the cleats. Just trying to be active for this game. And again, the handoff is to Errol Wynn. And he's ahead for about a yard, maybe two. Tennessee Chattanooga really needs to get something going here. Maybe a first down, just something, Spencer, to get their confidence going. Otherwise, they'll be looking up for a long, long time tonight.
And it may not come from the offensive side of the ball, Tim. It may very well come from their defense if they're able to create. Again, if you can play solid defense and keep scores low, you'll have a chance to compete with even a juggernaut like Oklahoma.
It's the tight end Pittman moving up to the top of your screen, and now they break out. Appears to be an audible by the quarterback, and this pass is incomplete. Seemed to be a miscommunication on that audible as he was looking for his wide receiver Thomas Hinton, the senior out of Prentiss, Mississippi.
Yeah, Hinton, that ball was hot for him, and Lindy Holmes was number 11 for the Sooners, was closing in on him. And again, what you're seeing in this early game, but a number of flags, a number of miscues in terms of ball not being placed on the proper shoulder. In this case, the outside shoulder to the boundary where the receiver can catch it. You know, that's just execution. Guys not being familiar with their surroundings, not being sharp.
But also having an offensive line that is outweighed about 35 to 40 pounds a man by this huge Sooners team.
Safety blitz, corner cat.
Yeah, Galt needs to get rid of it. Does so. Incomplete. Looking for the tight end lumbering downfield. Patrick Wilkinson, the junior from Gulf Shores, Alabama.
Well, the Sooners are going to employ two corners. You know, Dominique Franks will play on that open side. And you're going to see Brian Jackson coming from that corner slot. It'll come from the far outside of your picture there, and he'll make a great play on the quarterback. It's just a tremendous job of him getting in there and making the play happen.
Greg Kamei comes back onto the field to try to get one out of there. And with this kind of field position and a punter that is struggling, you're going to be giving up a lot of field position. Dominique Franks again is back deep. And another shanked punt. Taken by Franks, and he jitterbugs to about the 45-yard line before being knocked out of bounds. Everybody's number one now.
You know, you talk about these home openers, though, but there are a lot of teams, because of the depth, particularly in conferences like the SEC, where you take that first week, that second week to kind of get your sea legs so you can find out where you are, get cleaned up, execute well. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with this. There's no shame in taking an opponent from this division to tune up.
Well, this is rare for Bob Stoops to take on a 1AA opponent. We should also mention that Rick Hart, who's the athletic director at Tennessee Chattanooga, worked for Joe Castiglione here for about 6 years in an administrative position. Has a little something to do with it, as you see Clapp leading the way for Moses Madu.
That's right, and you know, and there's nothing absolutely wrong with that, because it's about relationships. And you talk about Bob Stoops and the tentacles that are outreaching all over the landscape of college football in terms of coaches. Joe Castiglione has placed a number of executives throughout the college landscape as well.
Yeah, the new athletic director at Arkansas, Jeff Long, as an example. Again, trying to weave outside that time. Neil Brown, the defensive end. He's probably the best defensive end on this team. He comes up to make that stop of Madu. This guy's tough. Senior out of Beaufort, Georgia.
Well, he's a two-gap player, and again, all that means he's able to shed a guy on his inside and still release and make a play. That shows you balance, it shows you strength, and also shows you an attitude. He's aggressive. He never gives up.
Transferred from Auburn. On third down, Bradford finds his man. It looks to be, well, he caught it near the first down. It'll be interesting where they show his forward progress. Brody Eldridge made the catch. They're going to grant him the 39, and that would be enough for the first down. It is.
Well, Kevin Wilson, the offensive coordinator for the Sooners, really keeping this game, you know, pretty much to their base offense. You know, we talked in the open about how they may be going to some no-huddle attack. You'll see more of that as the game progresses to see how they got that nailed down.
Kenny Scrivens was the first to make contact for Tennessee Chattanooga, but not before the first down was picked up. Bradford throws the out route. It's caught by Caleb, and Brandon Caleb will begin to share the wealth a bit. Has it down to the 24-yard line of the moving Mocs.
And this is a cover corner's nightmare, to be on the wide side of the field open with a guy who's got that kind of ability. And Coach Allison certainly knows it. Again, it's really about this matchup here outside, all right? And when you're playing with a 7-yard cushion like that, believe me, they're playing safe are the Mocs defensively. But the Sooners are taking advantage of every cushion.
Bradford looking for his 8th straight completion, and he's got it. Joaquin Iglesias inside the 10 at the 9. On 2 separate occasions last year as a freshman, Bradford had consecutive completions of 21 and 22. That's a couple shy of the all-time NCAA record, 24, held by T. Martin.
Number 9 helped him a great deal. He led the team last year in receiving yards and receptions with a little stop route there. A little hook up, nothing fancy about this, just taking advantage of that zone coverage.
8 of 8, 104 yards now for Bradford. A little delay. Nice move by Brown as he negotiates to about the 7-yard line.
And you know what, you get down here in the red zone, it's very difficult to score because the field gets condensed, but you know, it's a zone read. A little 4 or 5 yard pop there is nothing wrong with that. Watch the zone read, slow to, fast through that little void, picking your way through there. That's excellent running inside in tight quarters.
On 2nd and goal, Bradford with plenty of time, picking and choosing. There it is, incomplete. Boy, that one, you can make a case, should have been caught. Jermaine Gresham had it in his grasp, just could not hold on, and I cannot imagine Bradford ever having any more time than he did there.
Yeah, he had plenty of time, but that was high and away a ball. Protection now. Bradford moving out of the pocket. That's what you got to do. And the receivers are also reading what Bradford is doing. You can't go deep in the backfield, so you go to the sideline.
So the first incompleted forward pass. Premature movement in the line. Flag is down. Pass is intercepted. Taken out of there. And he might have been wise to have just stayed in the end zone. Rayshawn Ball picked it off, brought it out to the 1. We'll check the marker. It could have been encroachment. We'll see if he was drawn offside.
If that wasn't the case, it may be on Brian Simmons.
Well, Bradford may have thought he had a freebie. That might be the only way he could explain the pass to Bob Stoops when he gets back to the sidelines, too.
Offsides.
Yep.
Defense. Half the distance to the goal. Replay 3rd down.
So why not take a shot, Spencer?
And that's where the heads up, you know, comes into play with your quarterback smart enough to know that either way, it's not a gamble.
Tough break for Coach Allison. Thought he had an opportunity here to maybe stem the tide just a bit. Still 3rd down and goal from the 3. Bradford looking for the fade. He has his man in the corner. Touchdown. Quentin Chaney Well, if Cheney can play in the regular season the way he does in the postseason, Oklahoma's going to be happy with him because he had 8 catches for 166 yards in the last 2 BCS Bowl games Oklahoma's played in.
And he did a fine job of fighting off Chris Lewis-Harris there. The corner gives up a number of inches to. Cheney goes up and catches that ball at the highest point. I love how he double hitched that, knowing that he was isolated on the defender to make an individual play.
I saw Cheney in the elevator today at the Postal Center where we're staying. That kick is off of the upright and no good.
Wow.
So the score remains 20-0, and I introduced myself to him. He said, I said, you ready to play? He said, yeah. I said, well, you know, I looked at your stats. You probably need to think about this as being a bowl game. He said, yeah, I'm going to play every game like it's a bowl game.
That's a pretty good idea. You know, I look back on my career, and some of the best performances I had was in bowl games. And I think part of that is you know that you're in a big stage. And a lot of these Sooners come here with tremendous confidence, Timmy. They know how to score. The
3 scoring drives, Spencer, have been less than they've had half the field to work with in every drive, 50, 44, and 49 yards. And Boomer Schooner is enjoying the ride here in the first quarter with a 20-0 lead. Still 3:55 remaining, and Tennessee Chattanooga looking to get its first down of the evening.
Well, rumor has it they brought in a trough underneath that end zone for those horses to make sure they're all liquid up. When they come here, they expect a lot of
It is a warm evening. Moreland will kick it away for Oklahoma. A couple of surprises today in college football. Virginia Tech, we mentioned earlier, losing on a blocked punt, a little return to sender for Beamer ball from Skip Holtz. Michigan goes down to Utah. Michigan was only a slight favorite in that game, and Rich Rodriguez's first game as head coach. And the kick comes down to Jordan Hazard. A short kick this time. And he is hammered at the 29-yard line. What a big stick that was. And again, Lindy Holmes was the first to get down there. Let's go back down to Emily Jones. Emily?
Okay, we're going to try this again, guys. One of the most bashful Oklahoma Sooners in the history of this program, and I say that so jokingly because Jamal Brown is definitely not bashful. Former offensive lineman for the Sooners, current offensive lineman for the New Orleans Saints. 13th pick overall in the draft a couple years back.
13th pick. The first Sooner taken.
The first Sooner taken. Jamal, how have things been going?
You know, things have been going good. Just trying to get away from this hurricane that's supposed to be coming down there. But, you know, just getting ready for the season to start and enjoying watching my Sooners play.
What's it been like to be away from this program and watch it from afar?
You know, I mean, I really miss it, man. You know, it just really made me miss my college days and all the games I won here and just the fun that we had. And, you know, it's nothing like college football. So, you know, I'm just happy to be back and see these guys play. Nice
to come home, like you said, and two, worried about, I would assume, your current home, New Orleans, like you said, trying to get away from Hurricane Gustav. What are your plans as far as football is concerned in the Saints right now?
We're just going to go to Indianapolis and practice there for this next week and just see how things go.
Jamal, I heard you spouting off some reporting. You know, Paul Thompson, your boy, is doing some sidelines for us. Give us your best kick back to Tim and Spencer for me.
All right, reporting here live at Owen Field. Back to you guys up there, wherever you guys are, and take it over, baby. It's Jay Brown.
I have never had a sideline reporter with so much bling.
He did, didn't he? He actually, I think you can add 5 pounds to that. He's got the coin to purchase it.
He is a great guy.
See, you see this right here, Timmy? Look at it. And it's in Oklahoma.
Yeah, it is.
It's made up of Oklahoma stuff there. Let me see if I can get my guy to clear that for me.
Tennessee Chattanooga, meanwhile, did get its first down of the game. Their best field position out to the 42, and immediately Jared Galt is sacked by Austin English. Won't be the last time we call his name. Senior leader of this club. At 9.5 sacks. Talk about a guy that's a real playmaker. He's it.
Well, he is a big-time playmaker, and a lot of folks don't remember he was converted to that defensive end position. He's a 4'6" guy, got tremendous speed on that outside. He wasn't highly recruited, a 3-star guy, but I'm telling you, he's playing big time for the Sooners out there at that left defensive end.
2nd and 14. Clint Woods in motion. And again, Galt in trouble. Tries to unload. A little surprised they didn't get him in the grasp that time. They very easily could have blown the whistle. The pass was thrown for Pitchford, incomplete. So 3rd and 14 coming up, and the pressure again coming from Gerald McCoy.
And Galt got up a little bit gimpy on that last play. Again, the Sooner defensive front wearing down that front 5 of the Mocs defensively.
And you know, what's one of the things that I think a lot of these schools at the 1AA level are always concerned with when they play against teams like Oklahoma. It's nice to have the opportunity. It's a quality check, but you need to keep your players healthy so that you have a chance to compete in your own conference once the schedule begins. Play fake by Galt. Again flushed. Decides to send it long. This is a jump ball. And it could have been caught. The defensive work was good by Nick Harris, but there was a chance for Blue Cooper to reel that one in.
Yeah, and Galt just really threw that ball up, and it was an ill-advised pass. But the saving grace for him is that it was single coverage. Your safety back deep was Nick Harris, and the ball was between Nick Harris and the receiver, and that made it very difficult for him to reach over the shoulder and try to bat that ball down. Could have very easily drawn the penalty.
Kamei is back into punt, and Dominique Franks is back deep in single safety. That's Kamei's best punt, I think. Franks has it, and trying to wiggle away, but can't. Finally called down at the 30-yard line. Took multiple Mocs to bring him to the turf. Let's go down to Paul Thompson. Paul?
Yeah, obviously you can see that Jared Galt was definitely not feeling very comfortable out there. You can see that a lot of his routes or his passes to his receivers were off target. A lot of it has to do with the multiple blitzes that the Sooners are bringing towards them. Sometimes they'll bring it, sometimes they won't. And Galt is kind of having some issues trying to focus on whether they're coming or whether they're not. And that's what's really throwing off his timing on a lot of these routes.
Now, my guess, Paul, is he hasn't seen that many that size with that much speed.
Exactly. Their offensive line is having a little trouble as well. But again, they're going back and forth, showing numerous blitzes, and that's really throwing Galt off right now.
DeMarco Murray carries up to about the 32-yard line, a gain of a couple. And Aaron Adams, number 32, made the stop. He totaled 30 tackles in just 5 games, did the middle linebacker for the Mocs a year ago. Came from Scottsdale Community College in Scottsdale, Arizona. This is his second and final season as a Moccasin. Play fake, Bradford.
All the time.
Boy, he's got all kinds of time, and there's Gresham again. And look out, boy, he almost gathered his momentum and equilibrium, and if he had, he could have been down the sidelines for 6. Anthony Broadway made the stop. By the way, my apologies. I showed my age for just a moment there. I actually said moccasin.
Look at the protection, first of all, and the shallow cross working back across the field. Again, those two working in tandem with one another. Outstanding protection and time, and your quarterback sits in the pocket and delivers a strike.
Murray, the lone setback off the left side, and boy, the yards after contact very solid, ahead for at least 7 yards on that carry. Chris Blanson, number 7, making the stop for Tennessee Chattanooga.
You know, as you said, Timmy, earlier, the Mocs have given the Sooners excellent field position, and you know, you kind of want to see the Sooners work from about their 20 to see if they can open the field vertically a little bit more.
Murray again. Oh, what a move. The misdirection and change of direction. So solid. Can he get in? No, they're going to mark him just shy of the end zone inside the 1.
Wow. Lucky number 7, Timmy. You folks at home, sit back and watch and enjoy the read and then the cut upfield after number 7 makes it in there, and then the second cut, the vision and the eyes, head on a swivel downfield. The only thing he could have done to improve that, and he does it, put the ball in the outside hand, the near field, the sideline, make it your friend, and keep the defenders off of you. Number 7 did a tremendous job to DeMarco Murray on that play. Reading, reacting, almost scoring.
And Matt Clapp, the fullback, made a quality block to create the huge gaping hole, and then after that, it was all Murray's talent. And a flag down prior to the snap.
Well, as Paul Thompson told us, though, before.
Substitution violation, defense. Half the distance to the goal remains first down.
Well, that won't be much.
You know, Murray was one of the players that we highlighted in the opener of the show, along with Iglesias and Johnson. But that doesn't happen but for the blocking up front by the offensive line, and that was an excellent job by all 5 front.
Trying to make it 4 for 4 is Murray, and he does. Touchdown OU. But the only thing that hasn't gone well is 1 extra point. Other than that, perfection from an offensive standpoint, and Murray already with 71 yards on the ground.
Paid off by George Robinson, moving from his tackle spot. Look at him at guard position, pulling, clearing the way. Nobody to block with big fella.
That was pretty
Got
quick.
out in front and led the way. You see the nice little feet?
That's pretty quick. You don't see a lot of that.
6'5", 335, moving like that in space.
You don't see a lot of that anymore.
Toledo.
And the extra point by Stevens this time is through the uprights.
Again, enjoy this at home, folks. You don't see this. Fred Astaire would be a little bit impressed by that set, step, and move up in there. Robinson does a fine job. Nobody out there for him to block, but again, the athleticism to get off that line of scrimmage, back in the backfield and up the field.
You know, you're not asked to do that in the NFL anymore. You really aren't.
You're not. And again, part of it is what you mentioned earlier. A lot of teams are now starting to move more to that 3-4 front. Only about 6 teams in the NFL run it.
Yeah.
But as Dallas showed last week against the Texans, it can be a dangerous front if you know how to run it.
I will say this: if you're able to show us that kind of footwork, it will still impress scouts. You just won't have to do it much at the next level.
That's right. Maybe a future for him. There's Kevin Wilson. I don't know why he's sweating it. He looks like he's a little frustrated. Coach, you're hanging on your way to hanging half 100 on these guys in the first half.
They, you know, he spoke about in your meetings, Spencer. He spoke about just wanting to play clean, come out of the game sharp. You know, that's what they wanted out of this matchup. And I think to this stage, he has to be very, very pleased.
He should be. And again, we talked about the tree of coaches that Bob Stoops has spawned. Kevin Wilson, in my opinion, is in that line of next guys to get a head coaching job. He has a tremendous ability to adapt to the talent that's given.
Matthew Moreland again boots it away. It's Hazard from his 5. Stutter step, a little button hook as we used to call it on the streets of the city, and he's out to the 25-yard line, stopped by Jonathan Nelson, number 3, reserve defensive back, Mansfield, Texas, Summit High School. Been tough for Rodney Allison's team. One of the really great quarterbacks of his time. He graduated from Tech a few years after his playing days were over. Got a cup of coffee in CFL with the Toronto Argonauts, and as we mentioned, has been on a number of Bowden coach staffs, whether it be Terry or Tommy, and worked with Brett Favre in Southern Mississippi with Curly Hallman. Outstanding coach, trying to build this program now in his 6th year. When we talk about being able to be resourceful in the backfield, Ryan Reynolds finally polishes up as Galt is trying to stay healthy, getting away from all kinds of pressure.
Well, what Jared's done, though, is showed us his mobility. You know, as Bob Stoops is looking on, trying to figure out exactly how we're getting that guy out of our grasp, how we're missing this guy.
It's been all Oklahoma in the opening period. On this beautiful evening in Norman, Oklahoma, the scoreboard reads 27-0 as we open the second quarter, along with Spencer Tillman, Paul Thompson, Tim Brando. Emily Jones is also down on the sidelines, and among the cavalcade of stars, she found a round bowler. How about that, Emily?
There are plenty here, as you can imagine, Tim, and one of them is Jeff Capel, the men's basketball coach here at Oklahoma, entering his 3rd season. And Coach, I know you guys don't pay any attention to stuff like this, but you're ranked in the preseason top 10.
Yeah, that's what they tell me. We're excited about it. We feel like we have a good group coming back, and we've added some really talented new guys. So these guys are working hard, and we're anxious to get started.
Blake Griffin decided to come back to school and not go to the NBA draft. How glad were you to get that phone call?
I was very glad. I was really happy. I would have been happy either way, but I do think it was the best decision for him to come back and mature a little bit. He's going to be so much better this year. He's gotten so much better since the end of last year. He's worked really hard, and we're looking for him to have a great season.
And apparently McDonald's All-Americans like to run around together, so Willie Warren comes up from Dallas. Now you've got 2 McDonald's All-Americans on your team, the first ever in program history. You've got to be excited about what those 2 are going to be able to do together.
Well, we're really excited. One of the things we talked about Blake when we recruited him was changing the culture of the program. He's been a big part of that. Because he came here, he was able to make it cool for Willie Warren to come here, and hopefully Willie's able to do the same thing with some more guys.
And then finally, Coach, you talk about, you know, what you're able to do as far as changing the culture of a program. The work that Bob Stoops has done, what Sherry Cole does, all the programs here at Oklahoma, you know, starts at the top with David Boren and Joe Castiglione. I mean, what you guys are doing here is pretty special. It's got to be a great place to coach.
Well, it's a great place to coach. It's a great place to live. It's a great place to be. When you have the support like you have here at this university, and it starts with President Bourne, and then to have an AD like Joe Castiglione, I'll tell you, we are all very, very lucky and fortunate. And we all root for each other. It's genuine. This is a family. And when you come here, you really feel that once you get here.
I know every time I'm here, I see you and Coach Cole among some other coaches here, always here. Good to see you, as always. Best of luck this season. Enjoy it. And guys, we'll send it back up to you.
Well, and more of the same. Thank you, Emily, and thank you, Coach, for joining us. And the snap goes over the head of Jeff Floyd, who was trying to punt it away. And ouch, babe. That's 2 more on the scoreboard for Oklahoma.
We had our crack crew, and we told them, go to ISO on that, be looking for it, and they were all over it on this particular play. Again, execution is going to be a problem, particularly when you have new guys at those mission-critical positions, snapping, backed up in your own end zone. That's a difficult spot, but as soon as the benefactors and get a couple of points out of it.
Yeah, that deep snapper position is never easy. You know you're going to get walloped. And sometimes the adrenaline can be flowing just a bit. And I don't know of a sport that's as affected by the third element of the game. You know, you talk about offense and defense in basketball. You talk about it in a lot of sports, baseball. But special teams is so huge in college football. We have seen at least a half dozen examples today already in the first Saturday of action that have impacted the outcome of games. And I think the 20-hour practice limitation plays a role in that.
It does. I mean, but I think you're right. In the early part of the season, that's going to be more of a factor. And I would agree with you to this extent. Parity is great, but not to the extent that it is on the National Football League level. But last year we saw that special teams start to creep in. We had a revolving door in the top 10 last year, if you recall, particularly in the upper echelon position. And a lot of those games were decided by 2, 3, 4 points, which a couple of field goals could have decided either way. So more and more, increasingly, especially in the top 10, you're going to see special teams play decide a lot of games.
Kame and Floyd have both struggled. This kick is going to be a place kick by Kame. Comes down.
It's trouble.
Into the hands of Iglesias. And Joaquin's got plenty of room. I'd say so. Trouble with a capital T. Look out. This might be one of your plays of the day. All the way down to the 20-yard line. Inside the 20 for Joaquin Iglesias.
Wow. King Dream Weaver, man, he was all over the place, wasn't he? You know, sometimes when you're looking at it from up here, you can tell and just feel it as an old special teams guy where the problem's going to be. The marks converge down. Joaquin sucked him in and then bounced to the outside and just uses his athleticism. One of the most versatile players on this Sooner roster. The guy's just a few yards away. As a matter of fact, he may have eclipsed the 1,000-yard mark on return with that return right there. He was just about 6 yards away from that. Just got it done.
Second all-time in return yards coming in at 994. He's well over 1,000 now. Ranked 16th in the season, averaging 28.5 per return a year ago. Here's Brown, who takes it inside the 20 down to about the 14-yard line. Joseph Thornton, number 5, there to make the stop. Special teams always important in Bob Stoops' land. No question about that, Spencer.
Well, defensive coaches really get excited when they're able to decide games and what I call the small aspect of the game, special teams. And Bob Stoops, being a defensive-minded coach, loves teams.
Brown again, this time close to the first down, maybe a yard shy.
I want to get back a little bit to what, you know, Emily was talking to Jeff Capel a few minutes ago about the infrastructure that Joe Castiglione, the AD, has created that gives a guy like Bob Stoops to come in here and the latitude to have success. Capel is also a benefactor of that. We'll talk a little bit more after this play.
Brown, touchdown, untouched. Outstanding blocking at the point of attack, just going off that right side. Behind Walker, Braxton and company. Rod Knox had a shot at him but couldn't get there in time.
Just a basic stretch play, and Brandon Walker, Braxton out there on that side, and Gresham also in on that play, doing a tremendous job of just stretching and allowing the back to pick his way through for the touchdown.
Saw a backup Corey Brandon in there and involved in the action. So they've already gone to some of the backups in that offensive front. You see the numbers on Brown. Very little that Oklahoma has not accomplished offensively in this game. Over 12 and a half remaining, and the Sooners lead the Mocs 36-0.
Welcome back to Norman. The Sooners on top of Chattanooga by a score of 36-0 as we play in the second quarter. Pleased to be joined now by the women's head basketball coach here at Oklahoma, Sherry Cole. We just talked. I cannot believe it's been 12 years, entering your 13th season here at Oklahoma. 12 when you got the job, right?
Yeah, exactly. 12 years old. I am now 24.
Well, congratulations on what has been a fantastic career here. Are you excited about the Paris twins senior season and what you've got coming back this year?
Yeah, we are. We're excited and ready to get going. Didn't like the way we ended up last year, so you're always ready to purge that taste out of your mouth and get going again. And like our young guys, already like what we've seen in the 1 week that we've been back in school, so we're ready to get after it.
Also, too, a exciting offseason for you to announce Kendra Wecker becoming a part of your coaching staff. Big 12 fans know her, of course, from Kansas State. She was the Big 12 Player of the Year back in '05. Just talk about what she hopes to bring to your staff.
Well, a wealth of experience, WNBA experience, playing overseas, not to mention the unbelievable Big 12 career that she had. We recruited Kendra like crazy coming out of high school, so her first day on the job, we wrote on the board, better late than never. But we just feel like we really are in a neat situation with her, and I think her work ethic and the way she sees the game and her understanding of the league will all be valuable for our team.
Speaking of overseas experience, you guys now have some under your belt after a summer trip to Europe. I'm jealous.
It was wonderful. Went to Rome, went to Greece, had a great opportunity to compete against the Greek senior national team. They really know how to play and really tested us and gave us some great on-court experience. And then obviously the cultural piece of it was just off the charts.
And then I talked to Coach Capel just about what you guys have been able, as an entire athletic program, to build here at Oklahoma. Your attendance numbers through the roof again last season. I'm sure you're looking to do the same this season. Just how fun it's been to be a part of building a program like you have here at OU.
Well, this is an incredible institution, and we follow an amazing leader in Joe Castiglione. And really, when you're at a place like this that starts off a school term the way this does, I mean, really, you know, 85,000 plus people here, and you have this type of performance. Success breeds success, and we're all very, very fortunate to be recipients of the kind of success that Coach Stoops begins for us every school year.
Well, Coach Cole, thanks so much for all your, it's okay. Good to see you, and congratulations on what's been a great career. Happy early 25th birthday when that rolls around. We'll talk to you later, guys.
All right, Emily, thank you. And she has done a remarkable job here with that program.
And I might add, very few can coach the way she does in the Paris Stiletto Hills. I mean, she's impressive when she,
intensity,
it's amazing. Oh,
intensity.
It's incredible.
Tony Pastore is coming to the game at quarterback. We anticipated that we'd see a lot of him. Thought to be the better, more prolific passer of the three quarterbacks available. And that pass is caught just shy of the 30-yard line by Patrick Wilkinson, the tight end. It was a third and short. I think he's a little shy of the first down, maybe by a yard, so not enough to move the chains. And once again, Chattanooga will be forced to punt.
Well, the thing the Sooners are doing are getting pressure on the quarterback, and when they're not able to physically get to him, they're disrupting the timing, jumping up in the play, putting their big bodies in front of Pastore here, making it difficult for him to get those timing route off. The Sooners are playing excellent defense, remaining active at all times.
They had the poor snap a moment ago.
He's going to make sure he gets this one. Maybe not.
He wanted to make certain that he called a timeout before the snap. So we'll break with them, and there you see the high anxiety that comes whenever you've had a situation with a poor snap. Mitchell Meadows will wait before he snaps again. Well, that says it all. Facing your first top 5 opponent since way back in 1951, and this is about taking a hit so your program can emerge and financially become more stable, which is what Rodney Allison is doing. In fairness, I think he took that timeout, Spencer, just to give his guys a reprieve, give them a blow. They're winded, and their confidence has been shaken.
Yeah, and give credit where credit is due. Jeff Muckroy, our director here, our producer, putting it all together, reminded me that that's exactly what Allison said in our meeting the other day. And I'm curious. I want to see the game play, but he's trying to protect the conscience and the attitude and the confidence of his players. That's a heads-up move by an experienced coach.
And a merciful role for Floyd, who's really been struggling with his his punting tonight so far. And the ball rolls dead at the 29-yard line. Another bad snap. That one dribbled into Floyd's hands. And he's been struggling with his punting already.
Well, here's the thing you got to defend against, though, Tim, if you're the Oklahoma Sooners. Despite the fact that you're up, you got an egg spot on the visitor side of the scoreboard, you still got to keep your intensity up on the other side. It's about you and your execution at this stage. It's not about the mocks.
And I would gather that's one of the reasons why we still see frontline players out there. They're likely, they need the game reps that more than likely would play an entire half. DeMarco Murray carries. Boy, Murray, just an inside move, and then just sucked in the secondary. Chris Lewis-Harris made the tackle. Another thing, too, Tennessee Chattanooga playing so many young players, freshmen, sophomores all around this defensive team.
Well, look at the power play on the left side of that line. He's got tremendous beef upstairs, and then he just puts on the Jets, and that's a great open field tackle there to prevent the Sooners from scoring another touchdown.
Bradford looks to Iglesias along the sidelines, and he's down at the 44-yard line. Joaquin takes it right in front of Rayshawn Ball, number 1. Stone Mountain, Georgia for Rayshawn Ball. And with Central Michigan University and transferred over. When you transfer at the Division I AA level, you do not give away a year of playing time. A quick hitch. This time over to Chaney. Quentin Chaney sort of delivering the blow himself to Chris Lewis-Harris, the cornerback, who's been picked on readily tonight.
Yeah, one of the things that Kevin Wilson, the offensive coordinator for the Sooners, is doing now is working the perimeter of the field. And there's a sequence that he's following. Left side, right side of the field. In this particular case, right, left, and then the middle of the field. So let's see if I'm guessing right on this one. Middle. Okay.
Looking deep for Iglesias. Incomplete. Ball hung in the air just a bit. Rayshawn Ball was down there, had a little help over the top that he was aware of.
You know, offensive coordinators, Tim, get in a rhythm, and you can, I think I've got my finger on the pulse of how Kevin calls his plays, and without telegraphing what he's trying to do. When you get teams working the perimeter and the boundary, they tend to soften up the middle of the field, and then you come back and take a strike down the center like they did there.
Again, Moses Madu into the game, and he takes it down to the 30-yard line, about a yard away from what's necessary for a first down. Jarvis Newsome made the stop, the senior from Decatur, Georgia, number 3 for Tennessee Chattanooga.
Good physical play at the point of the attack, and again, he comes in, puts his hat right on the helmet. That's a textbook play. If you're watching at home, youngsters, that's how you form a guy up and make a stop. It was a big game, but it's a formed tackle in defense.
This time out of the eye, Madu. Those legs just keep on churning down to the 20.
You know, I really like all of the running backs the Sooners have. Of course, it started DeMarco Murray, then Chris Blount backing him up. But this Moses Madu out of Norman, Oklahoma, 6 foot, 196 pounds, as a sophomore, he has some impressive quickness. When you see him line up and you see those quick feet, this guy can make you miss in space. He's a talented player you want to keep an eye on.
Again, he dots the I. Play fake to him. There's the pass and drop. Well, that's the one real miscue we've seen in offense. Gresham never drops him. That's very rare.
Well, one of the 6 returning starters up front for the Sooners, and well, you won't see very often Jermaine Gresham drop a pass like this. Boy, that went right between his hands.
Really did.
It's about concentration, Timmy, at this point. And it can happen sometimes when you're playing a lesser opponent. You can tell a lot about a guy, even in this case, your starter, junior coming back, just wasn't locked in on that play.
He had the most receptions of any tight end ever a year ago in the Oklahoma Sooner program. Dick Gresham. On second down, quick crossing pattern to Manuel Johnson. And on the look-in, he manages to get to the 8 of the Mocs. J.D. Dothert, the strong safety, made the stop.
Well, Manuel Johnson is an outstanding talent, mainly because he can run after the catch, Timmy. In space, you see him. When you move him out of the pocket on the boundary, he can take advantage and get physical if he needs to. And, of course, Bradford can put the ball anywhere he needs to be successful. So, again, Manuel Johnson showing how versatile he is as a pass receiver.
Brown burrows ahead for about a yard, and that's it. One of the things I've noticed in this first half, Spencer, and I think this is because of the new clock situation, the 40-25 clock that they have. The Sooners are quickly getting to the line. I think one of the things about this new rule, Kevin Wilson's aware of it as well. Depending upon how the officials handle this and how quickly they move that clock ahead, you may lose a few plays. So you need to get your team up there. We've seen a lot of hurry up, plays coming in from the sidelines, very little huddling. Get up there, snap the ball, have the pace of play the way you want it to be.
And that's the reason why the mental game is so important, because you don't necessarily have to use that system against the Mocs. Let's face it, I mean, they're not the top shelf competition, but you still got to run your offense and play the rules to your advantage.
Oh, nice pass. A beauty to Manuel Johnson over the back shoulder. Just perfection from Bradford. And another Oklahoma touchdown. It's 42-0.
You want to see a receiver work the fade route here. This is it. Looking inside to the quarterback, the bounce out, get your head and locate the ball, and great body adjustment here by Manuel Johnson here on the reception. Boy, look, people don't realize how difficult it is to catch that fade and then the fade stop, which is a similar form of that play. Manuel Johnson showed us how to do it.
Yeah, he's throwing it to the back shoulder, but Johnson had already made the adjustment. It came to the inside shoulder.
That's right.
And Stevens with the extra point to make it a 43-0 game. Bradford's pretty good, and he's got some outstanding targets to find, spreading the wealth here in Oklahoma. 43-0 our score. We've got our own quarterback for our broadcast tonight, Paul Thompson, down on the field. Paul, you were talking about the youngster that was quarterbacking, obviously, for the moving Mocs and struggling a bit because of all that pressure coming, Jared Galt. But I'd say Sam Bradford is business as usual here so far.
Yeah, Sam has really done, what the coaches want him to do, and that's be efficient. Take what they give you. The defense has been playing a cover 4 type defense, so the corners have been playing off. And so the run game, the people that are wondering why haven't they taken any more shots, it's because Sam Bradford's being a mature quarterback and taking what the defense gives him.
And there's been plenty of it for him to take advantage of.
There's something to be said for not being too greedy. And from one quarterback to us out there, I mean, that's exactly what I'm seeing the same way.
It's picked up by Rayshon Ball, and he's in a world of trouble. Down inside the 5 at the 4, and matters just got even worse for the Mocs. It all started with the fumble, and then Jonathan Nelson was the first to greet him.
Well, it's been all about aggressive defense, Timmy, in the backfield. Early and often are the Sooners in space trying to stretch the field horizontally. 5 Sooners at the point of attack. Alston and company in the backfield. Penetration, the quickest way to disrupt what's happening offensively. And again, there you see Austin working, penetrating back in the backfield again for another sack. The Sooners, early and often, Johnny on the spot.
Tony Pastore entered the game in the last series for Tennessee Chattanooga. They did give, I think, a very generous mark to get him out to the 5-yard line. Pastore does stay in the game. The handoff goes to Errol Wynn, and he's stopped behind the line of scrimmage.
You know, the thing about Bob Stoops, he looks the same no matter what the situation is. Here your team is up 43-0, and he's managing the game, giving you that sense that I'm in the game real time, and we're doing what we do as the Sooners. And about as intense, you don't see him change.
No, and it's never about the score. It's about the execution from play to play. And look at the difference in size on that offensive and defensive front. One of the few times off the left side with just a direct hitter, Errol Wynn's able to get a little momentum and get out for about 3 or 4 yards. Quentin Carter, free safety, over there to make the stop. Look at that, -3 total yards to 301. That says it all. That 3-yard gain looked like about an 8-yard gain based on really what they have not been able to accomplish to this point. But as I mentioned earlier, for Tennessee Chattanooga, a program that is trying to reestablish itself, they admit readily why this game is being played and why they're going to be playing Florida State a bit later. The athletic director, Rick Hart, is the son of Dave Hart, the former athletic director at Florida State. That's the reason for that matchup. And, of course, the association between Castiglione and Rick, who worked here on the OU staff, is one of the reasons why this matchup is taking place. Timeout taken by Chattanooga with 5:21 remaining. Oh, we're going to see Mr. Halsley, and that's one of the few times that I can recall Joey Halsley is a junior college transfer and was forced to play in that Texas Tech game a year ago when Bradford was knocked out with a concussion, and he struggled a little bit in that game, as I recall, Spencer. But I still believe that one of the reasons why you bring in a guy like Halsley is because you had to address the backup situation, and Bob knew that when he brought him in.
And that was his problem. It was execution, and really, despite that game ending the way that it did, the Sooners did have a chance to rebound and come back. But I think when you're taking as many snaps as the #1 does at Oklahoma, Sam Bradford, the majority of them, it's tough, even for a senior to come in here and really adapt real time and have great success. I mean, even against teams that aren't necessarily considered top shelf competition. So what they want to do is get him in there settled and see if he can get some of those execution problems rectified. You know, he's got great size, 6'4", 203 pounds, and he can really see over that offensive line. And when you move him out of the pocket, I think that's when he's probably his best. Pretty decent athlete.
Well, you know, the factor that comes into my mind with regard to Oklahoma's season is health. And if something does happen to your quarterback, and there's always a chance of that, you'd rather have a senior, somebody that's been there taking some snaps in the past, than a redshirt freshman or sophomore that's a bit raw, because you've got a chance to contend for the title. And you may have to win a lot with a game manager that's your second-team quarterback.
And we may need to tap Paul Thompson to talk about that a little bit, because we all recall the situation he found himself pressed in. And they had an unfortunate situation at quarterback. He had to move from wide receiver back to quarterback to help bail this team out.
And the way he handled it, I think, speaks volumes about why he was stopped so many times for autographs today when he was with us. That pass is incomplete. And Pastorian has got a nice look to that throw. The pass was intended for Chris Pitchford.
He does have a nice rhythm, doesn't he? He just laid that ball up there. And again, I know it was going to be a tough catch either way, but the motion, the stroke, the way he laid it on that outside shoulder between the boundary, that was pretty strong. You know, Paul, we've been talking up here about the quarterback play, Joey Halsley, and coming into a difficult situation. Can you contrast what that's like? You know, because you came in about the most difficult situation, having shift to wide receiver, then back to quarterback on the fly.
Floyd will boot it away. And a fair catch is being called for. And it's taken by Franks.
I was just talking about the situation and coming in, and you know, I wasn't sort of a difficult situation, but it's easy for guys that have been practicing, been repping it, to get in there and do what they need to do. Coach Heupel does a great job of conditioning all the quarterbacks as if, you know, you're the starter. You're the guy that's going to be in there and play. So, you know, when Halsley gets in there, or whoever comes up after Halsley or whatnot, they'll be ready to go just because of the way he's prepared them week in and week out.
Well, he's in now, so he does get some playing time before the end of the half. With just over 5 minutes remaining, Joey Halsley comes in. And more of the same. Nice curl pattern, complete for first down. Emmanuel Johnson, who's been everywhere. He's been the Velcro man tonight. He's caught everything.
And that was a great executed play there. But I tell you what, when they look at this game tape, I can tell you right now, Moses Madu on the swing pad was wide open on that play. And they'll evaluate that one a little bit as well.
Madu ahead for about 3 and then pushed back. Neil Brown made the stop. I know you commented Aaron Adams has really been all over the place tonight, the middle linebacker. He, along with 64 Neil Brown, the transfer from Auburn, and the junior college transfer from Scottsdale, have been very active tonight.
They have. And Tim, I really like to see guys from lower division schools come in and play in this context, because you learn so much about their character when they're able to play, particularly at that middle linebacker position, which tends to be the heart and soul of most defenses.
Halsley going for Iglesias. Touchdown. I'd say Joey's in rhythm.
I've got rhythm.
Well-run route here too, Spencer.
It was, and it was placed properly on that outside shoulder. Again, Iglesias adjusts to it, goes in, and does what's fundamental: catch the ball at its highest point so that the defender can't get in there to break up the reception.
Joaquin Iglesias, over 3,000 total yards in his career coming into this season. That's 15 yards per touch. Led the Sooners in receptions and yards last year.
Tim, I've never had the misfortune of having to deal with those sobriety tests that they make you do, and they make you put your head back and try to walk. But watch the control and body control of Iglesias as he goes up and tries to relocate that ball, keep his body in a position where he can make the catch and secure the touchdown. That's excellent athleticism and concentration.
Let's go down to Emily Jones. Emily?
Well, guys, we've heard Joaquin Iglesias and Manuel Johnson mentioned over and over tonight. I heard a great story from Oklahoma Sports Information Director Kenny Mossman yesterday. He told me that Joaquin called him, or told him the other day, Kenny, I'm going to call you at 9 o'clock tonight. Be sure and answer the phone. I want to talk to you about something. And Kenny's wondering, well, what does he want to talk about? He answers the phone when Joaquin calls at 9 o'clock on the dot and said, hey, you know, I saw where Coach Stoops does so much charity work, and Malcolm Kelly, the former receiver here at Oklahoma, went on a trip to Africa and did some charity work there as well. Manuel and I were talking, and we want to do some charity work too, and we want to be involved with children. Can you help us get involved with something like that? So not only are they tearing things up here on the field, but they're trying to do something good in their communities as well. And so Kenny Mossman trying to hook them up with the children's charity that will be fortunate enough to get those two guys on their side.
Well, it's great to hear. And this kick is taken by Jordan Hazard. And that can be hazardous to your health. Boy, did he get hit. Wow. Strong push from Oklahoma's Quentin Carter. The first to lay the lumber. 3 plays, 50 yards. Iglesias, 36-yard catch. A lot of 50-yard drives in this first half for Oklahoma. They've had outstanding field position, have taken advantage of it every opportunity that they've gotten, and lead by 50 with 4:11 remaining here in the first half. And Halsley is pitching perfectly since coming in.
Tim, before the evening's over, you're going to know everything about Bud Wilkinson Dormitory across the way, Jones Hall. We're going to talk about it all, brother.
You think?
Yeah, absolutely.
You're going to empty the bucket, are you?
Yeah, empty the bucket.
Pastore remains in the game. That's Earl Wynn, who's just been running into a lot of cream and crimson in this matchup. Ryan Reynolds, Holmes, both involved on the tackle that time for Oklahoma.
Well, there's been no drop off in the intensity of the Oklahoma defense. And again, you start to look for sign. I mean, one of the things that the coaches will be looking for from the sidelines, watching guys with their hands on their hips, not necessarily looking disinterested, but a little bit winded. Your body language tells a great deal about your mindset in a game like this. And this tells you something about the character. Up 50, still alert and in tune.
Brent Hayes has come in at fullback for Tennessee Chattanooga, along with Earl Wynn in the backfield. And again, the defensive front just with way too much penetration.
Yeah, that was Gerald McCoy there again, working on the other side of the ball, showing you that burst and that speed. He's got a low center of gravity, and he comes in and disrupts big time. And Chattanooga didn't have a chance on that particular play. Penetration will disrupt a play quicker than anything on defense.
He knows how to blow up a trap. We know that. He has done that tonight on more than one occasion. Freshman All-America a season ago, Gerald McCoy looking to improve upon that stature in this his sophomore season. Again, it's Wynn. Sean Kerma, I beg your pardon, just into the game, number 27, carrying it ahead for about 4 yards. Kerma, junior from Los Angeles at Glendale Community College. Here's some of the new rules. We mentioned the 40-second play clock and the 25 clock, which comes into play when the ball is spotted. And, again, I think it goes back to the idea that we don't want to turn the end of these games into a mockery, but at the same time, keep the pace of play. That's what the rules committee had in mind when they decided to go with this particular clock. It's a little more like the National Football League, and uniformity is about to take place.
That was the point I was going to say. It is amazing how it's beginning to mirror the National Football League, and they're trying to keep it in line with that for myriad reasons. A lot of it has to do with television, but also just the efficiency, the way the game is run by the officials down on the field. It's as much for them as it is for the benefactors on the other side. So a bevy of rule changes this year, Tim. Here's some more.
Here's one. The other thing that jumps out at me, when the ball's fumbled out of bounds, that's always been there. When you look at the last 2 minutes of the half, the clock will start on the snap as before. The one that jumps out at me, though, that I wanted to mention because we talked about the uniformity, is the NFL now will not go back and look at the force-out rule on passes.
They've done away with that.
They've done away with it, which means they felt the college rule was better.
Also, the incidental face mask penalty is done away with as well, so they won't be calling that play.
Yeah, and see, to me, that was the problem for a long, long time, was neither the NFL or college officials ever wanted to admit that the other one had the better idea first. You know, now we see them working together and saying, you know what, maybe we just don't need to worry about whose idea it is. Let's just do what's right for the game.
And I think that's a good idea, because you know what happened? These guys that are playing at the Division I level, the high levels like at Oklahoma, are going to go to the National Football League. And it just basically makes their transition that much easier.
Quick out to Manuel Johnson, and he's popped early. That was Rayshon Ball that came up to deliver the hit, the cornerback. He's been very active tonight for Tennessee Chattanooga.
You know, there's always going to be rule changes in this league, and the exciting thing about it is the colleges have adapted an ability to change what doesn't work relatively quickly. If you recall, a couple of years ago, they wanted to shorten the game by as much as 9 or 10 plays by reducing the time on the clock between plays.
And they made a mockery of the end of the games too, and they decided, you know what, that wasn't a good idea, let's change that. That ball may have been picked off. I think it was. It was by Chris Lewis Harris, who's been picked on all night long. The freshman made a play, and finally for the Mocs, a little something positive before the intermission.
Well, Halsey tried to really do something that's very difficult. The out throw is one of the most difficult plays to throw in all of football. Doesn't matter what level you're working on. Trying to get that ball across the field, an open field, it's very difficult. The timing can be an illusion sometimes. You think you have more of a pad than you really have.
Yeah, he was trying to get it to Brody Eldridge, the tight end, but Lewis Harris just moved on that one right away. He read the eyes of Halsey at that time. From the 41, Pastore remains in at quarterback. And it was almost picked off going the other way, as that out pattern was being run by Chris Pitchford, and outstanding coverage by the Sooners. That was Dominic Franks that had a shot at it.
Well, that was just the speed of Dominic Franks coming up there. You saw it, and you heard it more than anything else. Boy, he licking on the receiver.
Thomas Hinton's in the game at wide receiver. Pitchford and Cooper at the bottom of your screen. Over the middle, he goes underneath, and the pass is caught. That's Justin Buckhalter, or his first reception of the night. Justin is the brother of Carl Buckhalter, now with the Philadelphia Eagles. So a timeout taken with the ball now at the 33-yard line, and 3rd and short coming up. And you know, you're Rodney Allison. You're saying, please, let's have something positive happen before we get to the break. And we got 21 seconds to work with. Let's make the most of this chance.
And they've got a couple of things working. First, they get the interception, the turnover. That tells you something about the defenses willing to play and compete. And they come back and put together a couple of nice plays and soften up the underbelly of that Sooner defense. A couple of crosses completed there and a nice little soft run. So they're not rolling over quite yet.
Justin Gallion, the center there, you see number 73, he said in the newspapers this week in Chattanooga, this experience will be one of the greatest memories I'll ever carry with me as an athlete. Regardless of the score, I'll always remember their trip to Norman. Pastore's pass incomplete. Well, that's unfortunate because Luke Cooper should have brought that one in, and the Mocs would have had the ball inside the Oklahoma 25.
Well, that ball came out with authority, and Blue Cooper could have had it, should have had it. Again, Pastore did a fine job of delivering on time. It maybe just had just a little bit too much and been too hot for Blue Cooper.
Well, Greg Kamei will come in and try a field goal of right at 50 yards. And it's blocked. And the Oklahoma special teams do it again. Floyd was holding, and Kamei's boot blocked.
And Allison knows it's frustrating, but you know what? When you're trying a 53-yarder, Tim, the trajectory on this ball is going to be lower than it typically would be, and indeed it was. And so the Sooners got 3 guys up there with their hands up to get the ball on it. Cam May got a lot of foot into it. Again, the trajectory just a little bit, maybe 18 degrees lower than it would have been had it been a chip shot. And, of course, that ended up in a block.
Like Reynolds may have gotten a hand on it. May have been more than 2. No, that was
Holmes.
Holmes, number 5, as well for the Sooners. Nick Harris. But I think you're right, the trajectory was low. And that'll do it for half number 1. All Oklahoma. Pitching a shutout, short of a 1-drop pass by Gresham and the interception thrown by Halsley. This has been about as good as any coaching staff would want on opening night of any regular season.
Well, besides from the early penalties that we had coming into the contest, they got that out of their systems, it seems. And then the Sooners couldn't do anything about the short field they were given by the Mocs, but when they did have an opportunity to stretch the field horizontally and vertically, they did so very effectively. So if I'm Kevin Wilson, the offensive coordinator, I'm pleased with that first half performance as well as defense.
All right, let's go down to Emily Jones. Emily?
All right, guys, thank you. Coach Stoops, you said coming into this game you wanted a clean one. Was it clean enough? 1 turnover, 1 penalty.
Really has been. That's you want to see good, clean play. No busted assignments defensively, no matter who you're playing. If you bust, you're going to give up plays, and we're not. And right, we played clean. They're taking care of the ball. Joey threw one. He's got to play more and learn, but but we have played in a pretty good way that way.
Is Sam done for the night?
No, we want to come out at half, establish some momentum. We got a lot of games coming up, the big games that you got to come out at halftime better, and sometimes we haven't, so we want to work on that.
All right, Coach, thanks so much for the time. We appreciate it. Best of luck in the second half. Guys, send it back up to you.
All right, Emily, thank you. Halftime activities are coming up from this marvelous scene. A jam-packed crowd here at Gaylord Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium, Owen Field, in this 114th season of college football in Norman. Will they make a run for their 8th national championship in 2008? Well, first half of the first game is pretty good. We welcome you back to Norman, Oklahoma. Tim Brando along with Spencer Tillman. It has been at least 90 minutes since the players left the field. Might even be longer once they actually get back on the field and play. A heavy-duty cell, not necessarily the kind of cell that would jump up and grab you with regard to tornadic activity. None of that. But just a very big storm cell came in towards the mid-portion of our halftime show, and we actually lost our signal for a period of time. Players have been boarded up in their locker room for some time. Many of the fans, as you can imagine, left. Some of them have just been in portals waiting to come back out. But a much anticipated second half apparently will take place. I think the challenge really is for the coaches here, Spencer, because now these guys, you know, from both sides, you're talking about, you've been in there for a long, long while. Players tend to stiffen during situations like this.
Well, one of the things that Bob said, it's going to be interesting to see if he changes his course at halftime. When we were going with the delay, he said that he was going to come back with his number ones to get some more work and see if they can execute. I think that's going to change a little bit because your starters, after about 90 minutes of not active out there, I think what you're going to do, muscles start to tighten up. Hydration's an issue as well. So again, he's got some decisions he's got to make.
It's not as if he didn't get enough reps for his first guys.
Right.
I mean, they had a lot of plays.
Well, they got a 50 spot on the board
a lot of successful plays. Halsley had come in with over 5 minutes remaining. So we're actually showing some highlights of the action. It was a scoring fest. We're unable to see those highlights, but I will tell you that it was one touchdown pass after another touchdown pass.
Well, we can say that the reason why Sam Bradford finished last year the nation's leader in pass efficiency, he found his 4 primary receivers early and often. Of course, DeMarco Murray also chimed in with a couple of nice efforts, including a scoring touchdown. And we saw, again, the reason why the tandem, the primary receivers are among the lead in the nation because they really did a fine job of catching those passes that Sam Bradford threw in the first half. So Sooners look fine as far as their execution is concerned, scored a lot of points, 50 spot on the board, tells it all.
Yeah. My guess is this should be a run fest, right? For both teams.
First half. This
hand
second
off,
half,
hand off, hand off. You don't want
second
anybody
half
to
should
get
go
hurt.
by quick as a hiccup, because at the end of the day, it's about execution. You prove that in the first half, and the Mocs want to get out of here. We saw Coach Allison in the first half running the clock out as much as he possibly could in all scenarios, so as to preserve the confidence of his players. I mean, you're down 50 at half. You know, nothing good can come out of this.
At what point, again, we're still hearing some thunder behind us. At what point do you think that the people that are in charge administrating this game might even determine that they need to stop it?
Well, I'm not so sure. I mean, again, it depends on the contractual arrangement they have with those folks that purchased this particular game on pay-per-view. I'm sure they want to make sure that they get satisfied. That's something to consider. You got to look at for the health of the players themselves.
Well, that's sort of my point.
That's primary. There's a dynamic that's at work here. It's more than just one decision. So I can speak from a former player standpoint. I think this game is done.
Yeah. All right, let's go down to Emily Jones. Moments ago, she had an opportunity to chat with Coach Allison of Tennessee Chattanooga.
Yeah, I did. I asked him about this weather situation. I said, first of all, what'd you do for the last hour and a half? And he said, has it been that long? And I said, yeah. And he said, we sat there and kind of looked at each other. And so I said, does this affect you, playing in the second half? He said, maybe it will help us. It can't get any worse than the way it was in the first half. We're playing against one of the best teams in the country, and we've also made some inexperienced mistakes. The weather has moved north. We're just hearing in the stadium breaking weather news. Okay, the weather has moved on. You hear the crowd cheering there, saying we are going to play the second half of this game. Rodney Allison, the Chattanooga head coach, says it can't get any worse for us. Maybe his kids will play better after the long layoff. And he said, hey, maybe Bob Stoops will keep his second team out there, which they would like a lot on the Chattanooga sidelines as well. So, guys, that is the situation here. Quite frankly, I am amazed at the number of people who stuck around, considering the score is 50-0 and the monsoon that just came through here. But clearly my hair did not survive, but we're still here standing.
Oh, you look fine in that hat.
Pants didn't either. The pants are struggling a little bit, but you know what? I'm going to hang in there. I got the hat, and we should be good to go.
You look good in the lid, Emily.
What do you think, Timmy? 50%, a little less than 50% hung around for this?
Yeah, but I would also tell you that I'm not as surprised, because we're in Oklahoma, and it's the first game of the year, and people have been pining for college football to start for such a long period of time that. But I'm a little. I tell you, I'm a little surprised that I'm guessing there may have been some conversation about letting this one come to an end. If it had lasted another 15 to 20 minutes, I mean, if we'd been talking about a 2-hour delay between the time the players left the field and the time they re-entered, I think maybe they would have had to discuss the possibility of saying, okay, enough's enough.
I agree with you. And I think had there been more precipitation in that cell that passed by, they definitely would have probably decided more seriously to stop this game and call it a game at 50-0 in the second half here. So we'll see what happens. The players have got the biggest adjustment of anybody at this point. I mean, the fans that hung around are still here. They're dry. They hung out under the underbelly of the stadium, and so they're coming back trying to get their money's worth. But as a player, I can tell you that the time when you get injuries, muscle pulls and strains of this nature after a big rain like this, the footing's going to be completely different than it was in the first half, Tim. So this is a different ball game in the strictest sense of the definition.
Yeah, if I'm certainly from Oklahoma's vantage point, I feel that way. And Tennessee Chattanooga has got a long season in front of them. They've got another money game, as they call them in the business now, to play with Florida State. They want to be as healthy as they can possibly be, and they absorbed a lot of punishment in that first half from Oklahoma. All right, we hope to have some football for you shortly after we return. They are extending the warm-up period for another 5+ minutes. As you can see, guys are trying to loosen up for the Sooners right now. All right, we'll come back after this break and hopefully get you ready for some more football here in the second half from Norman, Oklahoma. As we come back to Norman, you can see there the reason for the momentary delay that turned into an hour-and-a-half delay. Lightning strikes that came from the south and has been steadily moving north, and we're told moving far enough north that we'll be able to finish tonight's game. You see the story statistically, and it looks exactly the way a 50-0 score would look. This is one of those reasons why they include time of possession, Spencer, to give at least one statistical area where a team can be somewhat close to 50-50. And it's another reason why I think sometimes that's a stat that's overblown.
That's right. Along with turnovers, usually that time of possession stat is one that most often points to victory and defeat pretty accurately.
Those are your Oklahoma Energy and Resources Board first half stats, and it's a blowout there just as it is on the scoreboard. But as you can see, the excitement of the student body, they want some football in the second half, and I'm guessing the fraternity parties just don't start until midnight, right?
The ATOs will be getting after it right about now, man. They'd be getting after it right about now. And this is about the time they make their way over to Butt Dorm, those that have buddies, athletes, and get together after the game. But they're going to have to hang around a little bit longer and play another half before they break loose.
While we've been in this long delay, and we'd actually lost our power down in our truck, Jeff McElroy and the guys worked feverishly to get a signal again for us to transmit to you. A lot of other football to be played that we can catch you up on. Louisiana Tech is 3 minutes away from upsetting Mississippi State, the first time an SEC team has ever visited Ruston, Louisiana, which is not far from my hometown of Shreveport. They have a chance of pulling this one out against Sylvester Croom's team. Missouri, a team that no doubt Oklahoma fans will be keeping an eye on all season long. The thought process being the only chance they get at Mizzou would be in the Big 12 title game. They are now leading Illinois by a score of 24-13 in what had been a back and forth game. And Alabama is absolutely laying the lumber to Clemson, 23-3 at halftime of that game being played at the Georgia Dome in Atlanta.
Well, I had Alabama beating Illinois in that contest, Alabama winning that game mainly
over Clemson,
mainly because Nick Saban's history in year 2, he has always been one to do supernatural things almost, because again, he did the same thing at LSU before coming here, before eventually getting a piece of that national championship. Nick Saban is a tremendous defensive-minded coach, and so coming in against Clemson's offense with Spiller and Davis back there at running back and a solid senior quarterback, he's done the job today.
Harper, yep. That is a team that on paper really did look to be the favorite in that matchup, and it's been all Alabama to open. Well, Tennessee Chattanooga will kick it away. Manuel Johnson is back deep, and he lets it go through the end zone.
Apparently his muscles still working. His legs are fine. The layoff didn't hurt him.
That was a nice kick.
Well, it really is going to be interesting to see exactly how long, if at all, Bob Stoops comes out with his number ones. And
I'm shocked that they're in there at all.
I really am. They're back in.
Yeah, I'm shocked. He with 5 minutes remaining in the first half, Halsley came into the game. I guess maybe he's viewing this as an extra practice, you know, an extra scrimmage of sorts. Philosophies change based on the circumstances you find and treat it as a new day. As you see DeMarco Murray carrying it ahead to about the 27-yard line.
Well, you hear coaches often talk about situations, exposing their kids to different scenarios, and this is certainly a character-building example. What happens when you have an injury or a circumstance where weather comes in and delays? How does your team respond? And so maybe this is part of Coach Stoops' strategy. Working the audibles at the line of scrimmage.
Murray again. Well, they're creatures of habit. Coaches are creatures of habit, and a lot of times they determine that they're going to say, look, this is going to be another opportunity for reps. We had a long delay, so let's go ahead and do it. However, if I'm on the other sidelines, you know, I'm probably in more shock than we are that we're seeing the front team guys come out in the second half of a 50-0 game when you've already sat them with 5 minutes remaining in the first half.
Well, maybe Emily can sort this out a little bit for us.
Well, guys, you remember going into the locker room at halftime, Bob Stoops did tell me that Sam Bradford and his number ones were not done. He said he would bring them back out on the field. I think that, however, Rodney Allison was hoping that maybe he would take a page from you guys and say, maybe after 90 minutes he's not going to run him back out there. But as you mentioned, coaches oftentimes set in their ways. Bob Stoops, no different.
Wow. You know, I guess the downside of it is you don't want your actions to be construed as something other than what they're
look, if he's going to be vanilla, and that series was vanilla, then it's understandable. And look at here, there's a bad snap that will lead to a safety.
This is going to be a shutout.
So Tennessee Chattanooga is on the boards as Nall was unable to get that one off.
13-15 remaining in the third quarter.
So the snap goes way over the head of Nall. And the coach is not in a good humor. Yikes. The kicking game in the elements sometimes can be quite a surprise. Tonight's game is being brought to you by Oklahoma's oil and natural gas producers and royalty owners and the OERB. We are Oklahoma proud. Tim Brando, Spencer Tillman, Emily Jones, and Paul Thompson all here with you in Norman, Oklahoma. A safety, James Winchester, the backup deep snapper, put a little too much mustard on that dog and it floated in the air over young Mr. Nall and into the end zone.
Well, that was James Winchester in there. By the way, James Winchester, the son of longtime Sooner fans will recall Mike Winchester, the punter during the 80s.
A high boot and a fair catch called for by Tennessee Chattanooga at the 35-yard line.
And that's really tough to see with Winchester. Again, he labored hard. We're speaking with his dad down on the field after practice, and he said, you know, he labored as a walk-on for a couple of years and then finally got a scholarship. And, well, it's really tough to see him do that after earning his way onto this ball.
Yeah, it is. You're right. Jordan Hazard made that fair catch. And here come the mocks. It is Pastore that remains in at quarterback. Sean Kerma, the running back, taking it off the left-hand side. It is Jared Galt that's getting a reprieve and coming back out to start the second half. Pastore came in the second quarter, and you can see for Galt, he'd love to have a do-over. He gets a mulligan. He was 0 for 7 in the first half. Kerma remains the lone setback. And again, just too much penetration from the Oklahoma defensive front. Beal coming in to make that hit. Jeremy Beal, what penetration here.
Jeremy did an excellent job of just ripping through the guy trying to block him. And again, the aggression of this Oklahoma Center defensive front, no let off here. We saw the execution problems for a relatively conservative offensive drive. Nothing the like on this defensive unit.
Out of the shotgun and a blitz coming. And he is swarmed under. He managed to get almost back to the original line of scrimmage, maybe a couple of yards shy at the 35. Gerald McCoy making the stop of Jared Galt.
Well, technically a blitz is 4 or more coming, and the Sooners brought 5 from depth. You'll see in the top of your screen a safety coming down high. Conversion of the quarterback. Does a nice job of stepping up and trying to avoid all that pressure up the middle. Does Jared Galt, but at the end of the day, the Sooners too many bodies around to avoid.
Jeff Floyd will punt it away. Joaquin Iglesias is back deep this time. Sooners came after it. Iglesias from the 21. Trying to run wide. Pretty good coverage that time by Tennessee Chattanooga. That's Thornton down there to make the stop. Joseph Thornton played well at the outside linebacking spot. We'll be back. We welcome you back to the Gaylord Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium. Take a look at a panoramic shot of the people that still remained inside this stadium. And Emily's right. I mean, if you're down there and you went through that monsoon that she went through, to look up and see this many people, you know, an hour and a half later, that is impressive. But again, knowing what we know about Oklahoma football, not shocking.
Well, they're passionate to be sure, but you know, you think about it, they weren't going to make many of the fans a run for their cars.
That's true. Well, the handoff goes up the middle. That's Chris Brown, who played very well in the first half.
Yeah, if I were a fan, I'd just get underneath the stadium like they were encouraged to do, and you know, just hang out and mill around there, because it could be much more of a difficult and unfortunate experience trying to dash for your car.
No question. Quick out, little hitch pattern out to Jermaine Gresham. And Gresham's ushered out around the 21-yard line. Chris Lewis Harris, who had an interception nullified a bit earlier in the first half there to make the stop. Third down, a yard to go. Again, Oklahoma goes shotgun. The quick out, Emmanuel Johnson. And the senior from Gilmer, Texas, takes it out for another first down.
See, here's the thing. Did he hang on to that ball, Tim?
No, they're going to rule. They're going to rule that
it was an incompletion.
They're going to rule that he juggled it and went out of bounds.
He did. And this is the thing that I really, when I start to see this kind of thing creep up, you got a ball that's, snapped out of the end zone, and you have a drop ball here, and guys aren't really at their best, and for whatever reason, you just question that. It's a very difficult condition to come back and play at top at 100%.
But you think about maybe after the first half, you heard the conversation he had with Emily and Bob Stoops, and he was really pretty positive. Hey, we played clean. We didn't make any mistakes. There's a fumble by Hazard, but he's able to recover it and hold on to it at the 47-yard line. You wonder if, because they came back and did play, if he leaves tonight with a different feeling than he would have left with had it not been called at intermission.
Could be.
50-2, Oklahoma.
Whoever said guys don't like shopping hasn't been to the Dodge.
Just over 10.5 minutes remaining here in the third quarter after an hour-and-a-half delay. Oklahoma leading it by a score 50-2. This is without a doubt, Spencer, the best field position that Tennessee Chattanooga has had to open a series all night long. And again, you hear those shoulders and helmets popping. Hand off to Sean Kerma. Running right into Jeremy Beal again, the sophomore from Carrollton, Texas.
We've talked from the beginning of the show about how much of a difficult task this was for the Rocks coming in. And to be honest with you, Tim, you look at their schedule, they have one of the most among the FBS teams out there, the FCS team, football championship.
No one knows what you're talking about when you say that. I mean,
you and I
they've been trying to sell us on football subdivision 2. It's 1AA. For crying out loud. These guys at the NCAA trying to reinvent the wheel. The pass is incomplete.
I'm really concerned about the execution in this game. I really am.
I know you are. And you know what? I understand your point. I really do.
I think the thing about it is it takes away from what could be a game where your guys leave with a unique experience. You got injuries starting to happen now.
Well,
I'm very concerned about the decision to play this in the second half. Tim.
Galt is down, just as you mentioned it. Jared Galt is down and seems to be in a great deal of pain. It must have happened on the collision after he had thrown the football. There's Pastore, who did play quite a bit in the second quarter. And after such a long delay, I'm sure that Rodney Allison felt like, hey, my guy was overmatched. He was being blitzed. Maybe something good can happen for him in the second half. I'm going to put him back into the football game.
Yeah, looks like he's getting up rather quickly, though. That's good for him. He's a tough kid.
He's just got dinged pretty good. That right arm, right shoulder seems to be not moving. So I think there may be some concern about his shoulder or that right arm in some way, shape, fashion, or form. So Pastore will come back into the game, the junior from Woodstock, Georgia. Transfer from Kent State University. You said earlier, more of a traditional drop back quarterback. They like to get the ball downfield a little bit more, so expect guys like Blue Cooper, Clint Woods to be intended targets of some upcoming passes from Pastore. From the 49, 3rd and 8. Pressure off the edge, and down he goes again. Not much question when Austin English is coming through, you're in trouble.
And combine that with a quarterback that's not known for his mobility. And, you look at it, you can see his eyes are upfield, as you said, the quintessential sit back in the pocket guy. And the speed of the Oklahoma defense coming off the right side, a little bit too much time. You can't expect that. I mean, I don't care if you got a great offensive line. Once that 2.9, 3.0 second mark hits, you're in trouble as a quarterback sitting in that pocket. 2
sacks for Austin English. Jeff Floyd back in to punt it away, the junior from Murfreesboro, Tennessee, Siegel High School. A low spiral that takes a very positive mock bounce and goes inside the Sooner 5-yard line. A very effective punt. Most effective of the night for Floyd. 45 yards. Let's go back downstairs to Emily Jones. Emily?
Well, guys, you definitely recognize this guy, Joe Washington, the
Silver shoes.
famous running back from those 74, 75 national championship teams. I guess, first of all, let's ask you the question of the night. How did you spend the rain delay?
Well, for whatever reason, I walked inside, and the next thing I knew, everybody was coming in, so thank goodness I missed it.
You know what? You've always had perfect timing now, haven't you?
Well, you know, you try to, because, you know, the Lord's looking down on me because he knows I can't run it fast, so I probably would have rusted if I'd been out here in the rain. So I'm glad I got in early.
Now, you are around these parts quite often now because you're a part of the Varsity O organization here at Oklahoma. Explain what that is.
Yeah, well, you know, really, you know, it was the old O club that consisted of football letter winners, and we've included all the, you know, letter winners, all sports, female sports. So, oh my goodness.
Who was that? Somebody's taking a page out of your book.
I don't know. That's old DeMarco. You know, he's always getting people excited. I like that. It's great. But, you know, as far as all the people that have played sports through here that have lettered, you know, we come back, have tailgates. We're an organization trying to make sure that some of the guys and girls who didn't graduate, you know, finish up on their graduation. And
right there, a couple on this field tonight, I would assume.
Yeah.
I've been told to ask you about a certain game in Foxborough, maybe that.
Oh, in the rain.
Yeah.
Oh, I love the rain. I love playing in the rain, but, you know, sitting out here watching the rain, I'll have a tendency to rust. But I was fortunate enough that, you know, during my career, I had some very, very good games in bad weather.
You're able to hydroplane, so to speak?
Well, I don't know what it was, but I tell you what, they didn't know where they were going, but I knew where I wanted to go.
That's all that matters. Joe Washington, thanks so much.
My pleasure.
Nice to see you. Thanks for the time, guys. We'll send it back up to you.
Emily, I understand you're a little young to remember that Monday night game.
It may have been a tad bit before my time, but that's okay.
I did get down to Jeff downstairs and I say, please ask her to ask him about, because it was an incredible game. Joe Washington put on a show that night. And Emily, Howard Cosell's halftime highlights would never be as good as just his live reaction to Joe Washington that night when the Colts beat New England in Foxborough.
Well, Joe had something that none of these runners here tonight on this field, despite the fact that there's some good ones out here, namely DeMarco Murray, but he had the ability to run low to the ground. He was a quintessential mudder. You know?
Those short, choppy steps.
Short, choppy steps, and he was quick and agile, kept his center of gravity underneath him all the time. Joe was an outstanding, one of the quickest from point A to point B did you ever find in the college ranks.
Bradford's got him moving on 2nd and long. Quick out, Johnson dropped it. So it'll be 3rd down and long. I'll never forget Cosell. Look at him go. Little Joe Washington out of Oklahoma. Oh, it was one of those incredible nights.
I think one of the most descriptive terms I've ever heard, accurate terms, was, I don't know who it was, maybe it was Switzer who told me, he says, you know what, Spencer? He looked like smoke through a keyhole. That's what Joe Washington.
I got to tell you, I don't think for a running back, that was excellent Barry, by the way. Your Barry's a lot better than my Howard's. But he had, I think, probably the best individual night for a running back on Monday Night Football up until the time Earl Campbell had that incredible game against the Dolphins when he played for the
When he was with the Skins or the Colts?
When he was with the when Joe was playing for the Colts that night in Foxborough. And I mean, he just ran as though he was gliding on air, as opposed to, and that was the old days at Sullivan Stadium where you had the artificial surface and you could see the puddles. You know, it was incredible.
Well, he always had those silver shoes, which defines his style, from Port Arthur, Texas.
Jordan Hazard punted away. And a fair catch is being called for by Hazard, I beg your pardon, as the ball was punted away by Oklahoma's. Yes, that was a nice high booming punt that was taken down inside the 15-yard line down to the 12. There's the excuse me, Paul Thompson's downstairs and wants to join in on the second half play that we're witnessing, right, Paul?
Yeah, just want to talk about a little bit about the sloppy play. One thing that Coach Stoops really emphasizes coming out of the half and being strong. That's one of the reasons Sam Bradford and the starters are still in there, because he wants the guys to come out, especially after a long break that they had, and come out and be successful immediately after a long time off. So you're seeing a couple sloppy plays, some 3-and-outs a little bit, the punt with Joaquin and allowing that to go inside the 5. He tries to keep everybody focused and make sure they stay into the game, and that's the reason that a lot of these starters are still out there and playing.
Yeah, I get it. It goes back to philosophy. I said earlier, coaches are creatures of habit. The idea is, hey, we have to play. The game's on. Let's have something positive happen for as many guys as we possibly can. If that includes starters, so be it.
Yeah, but Paul, I want you to help us after this play understand exactly what's going through a player's mind as he's being charged with the task of coming back after such a long delay. It takes you a while to get stretched and warmed up in the first place. Combining the mental execution that's needed along with the physical, how do you overcome that as a player?
Well, you really can get kind of restless, you know, being in there in the locker room for what it was about an hour and a half or so. Players can really get, you know, really relaxed. I'm sure the coach was doing a great job of keeping them up, moving around and things like that. But still, to come out here, and it almost probably seems like a new game for a lot of the players, but for them to come out there and be productive, you know, can be difficult at times. So that's why, again, you're going to see a lot of the same guys that were in there the first half remain to be in there.
Now Story's pass is incomplete. He was looking to set up a screen to Brent Hayes. And it'll be 4th down and a punt formation coming up for Tennessee Chattanooga.
And you see the sloppy play is not just contained to the Sooners.
Oh, it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. And again, you just cringe because at the end of the day, most of the injuries that happened when you're not going 100%.
Well, you're a little tentative.
Physically.
Well, when you're tentative on the turf that you're on, you're concerned about making cuts. There's no question about that. Check the hang time for Jeff Floyd's boot here.
Block on that.
Yeah, he's had a few shanks and a couple of tips as well. This one, though, does get another positive roll for the Mocs, and Oklahoma will have it at their own 44-yard line. I think about Joe Washington. He looks like he can still play.
Let me tell you, Joe.
He looks like he could still play.
Joe looks slim and trim. He's probably about 100 and maybe 87 pounds, about the weight that he played at. Even as a professional, he did have some major surgery on his knee a couple of years ago, and I'm going to tell you, he looks good. He looks really good.
There he is. Joey Halsley has come back into the game at quarterback, so I think we may be able to close the book on Bradford. Here's Moses Madu.
Here's a kid I'd like to see get a shot as another flag comes in and kind of adding to this disarray we've had in the second half. But I'd like to see this Moses Madu kid come out and perform, because he showed me some flashes that he could be something special, Timmy.
Preliminary indication is that it's against Oklahoma.
Personal foul, late hit, number 59 of the offense. 15-yard penalty, 2nd down.
Donald Stevenson is tagged. Reserve offensive lineman, freshman, Blue Springs, Missouri, redshirt freshman. And the worst thing that can happen to a young player when he gets into the game is get tagged with a personal foul like that. And oh boy, that will sit in the head of the head coach for a long, long time going into the next practice this week. Halsley, little bootleg action, looking for the corner, and he finds Adron Tennell. And he's out of bounds at the 43-yard line.
Halsey had a what we call a high-low option there. Could have gone to his receiver outside or the one coming underneath from the crossing route. And did a nice job of making a quality decision there.
7-yard pickup to Tennell. 3rd down and 12 yards to go. Halsley looks for that crossing pattern, and he's got it complete. Into the hands of Jameel Owens, freshman from Muskogee, Oklahoma.
Over the years, there have been some great players come out of Muskogee, Oklahoma. Harry Roberts many years ago, and now the Sooners have nabbed themselves a quality wide receiver. They're moving the ball down the football field via the air quite nicely.
Moses. Madu stopped after about a yard pickup, and that's good defensive recognition that time from those linebackers on the outside. Can't say enough about the play of Joseph Thornton tonight, Neil Brown, Aaron Adams. That time it was Nick Craig, the freshman from Carrollton, Georgia, that made the stop.
Well, I think Aaron Adams has shown me a great deal working at that middle linebacker position for the Mocs, where he has been active tonight.
Halsley. A little quick with that one as he was looking again for the youngster Jameel Owens.
Well, that was a case where Owens was trying to come out of his break and settle and just kind of lost his footwork on that. Again, that's probably a function of the less than stellar traction right about now. because of the rain.
3rd and 9 from the 44.
3rd down and 9 from the Tennessee Chattanooga 44-yard line. Incomplete. Tennell, the intended receiver, being defended well by Chris Lewis Harris. Some late pressure finally coming for Halsley to deal with.
Personal foul. Roughing the passer, number 46 of the defense.
And sadly, there was a little extracurricular pop that came with it. Josh Beard is whistled. I think he was so happy to be this close.
Yeah, Moses Madu had a chance to block him, though, on that end. That didn't have to happen. Again, that sloppy play, not picking up the blitzer on the outside.
You know, I kind of understand where Beard's coming from. It's been so long since they got close to a quarterback. He felt like he had to get a lick in. I mean, the Oklahoma quarterbacks have been just absolutely clean. The Sooner offensive line, whether it was the first team or second team, has been outstanding tonight. And they outweigh that Tennessee Chattanooga front by quite a bit. Tennell again reels that one in at the 25-yard line. And again, it's Lewis Harris that's there to make the stop. And again, they're running hurry up, Spencer. I think this is a lot about, hey, let's work on this in the second half. Let's we're in a position, situational offense is what Coach Stoops and Kevin Wilson are working on. Working quick.
They're going to be a penalty there. At least it should have been. Tough non-call there.
Tennell took it, and Lewis Harris pushed him out and did so with ferocity.
You know, you be the judge at home, folks. You see the eyes. You see the reception, the catch made, the step, the extra push there. You know, that could have gone either way, but it certainly looked like
he should have flagged.
He was defenseless.
He
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, even the officials are having to make a little bit of a judgment call here. I mean, how many times do you really want to blow the whistle when in the back of their minds they're saying clock tick, tick, tick. You know, they're doing the same thing the players are doing. As Chris Brown takes it inside the 15. Well, actually just outside the 15. They'll mark it at the 16.
It's plays like that or non-calls like that certainly will send a jolt of energy to your offense and make you want to hang another half 100 on.
Oh, yeah.
I'm telling you, that's one way to get a team up in a hurry.
Brown, the lone setback. Good work in that defensive front by Tennessee Chattanooga. Again, very impressed with the rear line. That's Rodney Beeman, the senior, Riverside, California. Big 6'2", 305-pounder making the stop. Ian Brown and Aaron Adams Thornton have been involved in a lot of the tackles tonight on the ground for the Mocs. There's Brown bouncing outside. He may have gotten in. No, they're going to say he stepped out back at the 3-yard line. Matt Clapp, again, the fullback. When they bring him in with that I formation set, he makes a difference. Look at that.
Well, it was the near field and the formation that made it possible, allowing Brown to be one-on-one with the safety coming down. And again, these are just situational matchups that Kevin Wilson, the offensive coordinator for the Sooners, is looking for here. And he's finding them.
Now, Clamp is really trying to earn his spot. They've lined him up both in that I formation as the lead back, Spencer, and also in that slot, sort of an H back on those stretch plays running outside. And he's, number 34, has been putting a hat on somebody all night long. Flag down, and we'll check it.
Substitution violation. Defense, 12 men on the field. Half the distance to the goal, remains first down.
You see, that's where the advantage of working under this 40-second clock actually helps an offense, because you're trying to work in there and try to get the defense off guard. And I think it's a big advantage for a team that's mastered the shorter clock, 40 seconds.
First and goal. Brown dots the I and bounces outside for the touchdown. A lot of second effort there.
Well, It's all about vision when you can see Brown not selling it ahead of you see the eyes cut. That's where I'm headed, fellas. An experienced linebacker can read that, but this is just an effort here by Brown getting into the end zone, following the nice hug along that offensive line of scrimmage and the push from the starters up on that left side in for the score for the Sooners, expanding their lead now to 57, provided it's good.
Again, watch the initial hit, but the legs keep churning.
Yeah, it's the push on the left side that you're seeing. Stopped initially. The guy's got a hold to his jersey, and he's still pushing. That's just effort, and that will bode well when you go into the meetings. The coach will, you know what, you don't necessarily see a whole lot from a guy, but his arms are pumping like that, his legs are pumping. That tells you something about where his head is in the game.
Now, Missouri's extended their lead in that game with Illinois. Spencer, I wanted to ask you because, you know, the Sooners don't get a chance to play the Tigers this year unless they meet in the Big 12 title game. And I think conventional wisdom is that Oklahoma would be the favorites in the South and Missouri would be the favorites in the North. But this is an Oklahoma team that seems to have the Tigers' zone read offense and what Chase Daniel does. They seem to have their number.
Right, and they're not unlike other Missouri Tigers on what Illinois is doing. They run a power zone read, and they'll pass the ball with Macklin, and they've got a great tight end. Rucker, of course, went to the National Football League.
Hoffman's pretty good.
Hoffman's very, very
He's
good.
very good.
And Chase can pull it down and run, so they're very potent. But I think from a defensive standpoint, the Sooners, Brett Venables, the defensive coordinator, and Bob Stoops have managed to break the code a little bit of the zone read package that Missouri presents. And so from that standpoint, I don't think they're sweating that. If they make it through the South, they're not sweating Missouri in the final.
Now the advantage for Missouri is the game is in Kansas City. Rashawn Ball bringing it back to Tennessee Chattanooga. And not that we're getting that far ahead of ourselves. It's just, hey, I mean, that's what most people anticipate will happen. And the fact that the two teams don't play in the regular season has everyone looking ahead just a bit. Brett Bowers, by the way, came down to make the stop for Oklahoma.
And I think, Timmy, it's a valid thing to talk about because that's part of the coaching challenge. To have your team be able to focus on the task at hand, the next game, as opposed to what could be and what everyone expects will be. And that's a matchup between Missouri and, of course, Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship.
Well, finally, a little room on that right side against the Oklahoma defense as Sean Kerma gets through. Junior out of Los Angeles, California. Kerma played at Glendale Community College. He's showing a little signs of being a power back there.
Well, he's a big guy. You know, he's 6'1", 220-pound junior, and he knows how to run. He's got a nose for yardage, and then getting the tough yardage in particular, Tim. And now they're in a favorable down and distance situation, that place they hadn't been all night.
And didn't get much done that time. Right back to him, and he was just undercut very quickly.
You know what that tells me is just the awareness of the Sooners defense. Very alert at the line, the point of attack, and they just blow this play up big time. The directions up front, and they regather themselves and locate the ball carrier. The Sooners stop them. That just no down and distance situation. It converts to a little yardage gain in that play.
DeMarcus Granger in there real quick to make the stop. 3rd and 3. That was a good read by the corner. Dominique Franks had a chance to pick it. The pass was a bit overthrown, and it's likely to be a good thing for Pastore, because had it been more on target for Chris Pitchford, it would have been a pick.
Well, you saw Pastore, his eyes flash down in the middle of the field to freeze the safety. Frank did a great job of jumping and reading the ball. And if you remember, Pastore threw the interception to the far side of the field on a similar out route. Maybe not as difficult of a pass, but again, the safety's really got a beat on his ball right now tonight.
Franks has had 3 breakups tonight. He's been very active. They come his way quite often. Floyd's boot is again low and returnable. Iglesias has got it, but he's wrapped up quickly. That's outstanding work by Thornton down there on special teams to make the stop.
Well, you know, people trying to make an open field tackle like this against a guy like Iglesias is one of the most difficult and intimidating things in the world. But one of the things that's been fundamentally displayed here tonight by the Mocs is they do a great job of maintaining leverage when they go down on their coverage unit. That is, flushing the return man back to the middle of the field and not allow him outside leverage on their shoulders. And they call that lane integrity. And quality teams that are coached well have that.
Halsley hands off. Taken by Justin Johnson. His first carry of the evening.
That was B.J. Taylor was in there on that stop, and boy, you saw the 6'3", 298-pound junior dive in there and penetrate again and stop the runner in the backfield.
Justin's out of Gilmer, Texas, and yeah, Taylor pretty active there coming in to make the stop. Junior from Cherokee, Alabama. This was a long time ago we saw those plays. 56. You may see him some more before the night's out. We opened the fourth quarter with the fourth-ranked Sooners leading Tennessee Chattanooga 57-2. Along with Spencer Tillman, Tim Brando. We've got Emily Jones downstairs along with former Oklahoma quarterback Paul Thompson. The pass right over the middle, and it's caught by Brandon Caleb. And he stopped at the 39-yard line.
Oh, hey guys. I was sorry. I was distracted by the Sooner men here. I wanted to give you an update on what's going on here in the stands. Still about, I would say, 40 to 50% full here in Norman. And I came up here to ask these guys. These are the Sooner men instead of Supermen. They're the Sooner men. So how did you guys wait out the rain delay?
You know what? We just take it game by game, just one step at a time. You know, we're just like the Toronto Sooners, baby.
Oh my goodness! Someone took a page out of the coaching cliches book. Well, what are you going to do here in the fourth quarter, Coacher?
I'll tell you what. You know, everybody gets a game ball. That's how it's going to be. Everybody gets a game ball. Boomer Sooner, let's get after it.
Oh my goodness! And it bears a striking resemblance to Bob Stewart.
It did, doesn't it? AM, you just learned something about men. They never listen.
They never do. They never do.
Hey, Emily, you might ask the Stoopsy sound-alike what it was like to work for Steve Spurrier. I'd like to know what it was like to work for Steve Spurrier.
Okay.
Can you ask him?
Okay, Tim Brando wants to know, what was it like working for Steve Spurrier?
You know, Coach Spurrier, he's certainly one of the best coaches out there, and I give it all up to him and Coach Snyder and Coach Fry.
And he not only sounds like him, but he says the things I think Bob Stoops might say.
Oh, he's even got the mannerisms, the facial mannerisms.
He's got it down.
That's great. Great stuff.
Vegas is calling him.
Move over, Frank Caliendo.
That's right.
We found your competition for the future.
That's great.
Oh, boy. Somebody send a copy of that to Best Damn Sports Show, will you? He should get some playing time on there. That's a pass taken out of the backfield on the receiving end. It's again the freshman, Justin coming away with it for Oklahoma. Number 25, the outstanding young freshman, Justin Johnson from Gilmer, Texas. And he's a little bit shy of the first down, so on fourth down, Oklahoma will boot it away. That was the highlight of the second half.
That's
right
right.
There. Emily, I don't know, how does she, is she a talent scout too?
She's great, isn't she? Just identifying all
sideline reporter / talent scout. Hazard there to call for the fair catch for Tennessee Chattanooga at the 13-yard line. And that's where the Mocs will take over first down.
How did you guys wait out the rain delay?
You know what? We just take it game by game, just one step at a time. You know, we're just like the Toronto Sooners, baby.
Oh my goodness! Someone took a page out of the coaching cliches.
Oklahoma leads at 57-2 over Tennessee Chattanooga with just over 12 minutes remaining. Mocs have the ball from their 14-yard line. And Sean Kerma, the running back. And they may have replaced him moments ago. No, it is Kerma that's back on the field. And the stop is made by Bryce Macon, number 94. A lot of young players now getting some much-needed playing time in the waning moments of this blowout victory for Oklahoma.
And you got the sense yesterday talking to Coach Allison that that's what he wants these kids to do, get the experience of playing in the context like this at Oklahoma in front of huge crowds, and I'm sure it has been an experience for all of them. Nice.
That Story running a little boot. It's taken by Brent Hayes, the fullback, and that'll be good for a first down.
That Story on the naked boot, taking advantage of the speed and aggression on that Oklahoma front line and finding an open receiver on the crossing route.
Hayes, a homespun star from Central High School in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Tell you, that's a beautiful town. I've had the good fortune of spending some time.
After the play, personal foul, 60 of the offense.
Oh boy, that's a shame.
That's a well-designed play too.
Yeah, finally have something good happen, and then you've got a personal foul, and it takes it back the other way. Unfortunate. Do you know some of the notable alums in Tennessee Chattanooga history? Check out, see if you've done your work.
Your guy, what's the guy's name? This buddy of yours, Mr. Spelding.
No, not Spelding. That would be Aaron Spelling, who did Love Boat. He produced Love Boat. No, Mr. Belding.
Mr. Belding. Oh.
From Saved by the Bell.
Okay, yeah.
Dennis Haskins.
Bell, yeah.
He's a good friend, a dear man. Still makes his home in Chattanooga. And a big Tennessee Chattanooga guy. Went to school there. He's actually just got back from filming a motion picture in Louisiana where they're shooting a lot of movies these days. And of course, Terrell Owens cannot rule out T.O.
Now, what's the connection with
Get your popcorn.
What's the connection with Brett Favre, though? Is he from that area?
No, Brett Favre was coached at Southern Mississippi by Allison when he was working for Curly Hallman. He was a quarterback's coach. Very good. We're going to take a break. We'll be back with 11:05 remaining. The Sooners leading by 55. We'll catch you up on more brochure information. Oklahoma leads at 57-2 with just over 11 remaining. And the inside handoff goes to Sean Kerma. Stopped at the 18-yard line.
You know, Timmy, a lot of times, you know, I'm looking at the players. Some of them, running backs, in the case of Sean Kerma, showing me some really heavy running against a pretty stout defensive front, as we talked about at Oklahoma. I'm not so, look, he's a Division I AA player, but I'm not so sure he couldn't compete at the next level.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And that's one of the things about today's college football that's growing more and more obvious, I believe, Spencer, is the spreading of the wealth of talent around this country. And especially true at non-BCS conference Division 1A schools as he carries it again beyond the 20 to the 21. I'm always amazed to hear people that think they know a little bit about college football when they start throwing out money games, automatic W's, and they start throwing around different schools, and they say, well, you know, they played this team or that team, and they happen to throw in somebody like Troy. Have you checked Troy's resume? They beat Missouri.
Absolutely.
Troy has been an outstanding team in the Sun Belt for quite some time. I mean, a lot of fans just react to brand name, and a lot of people with microphones react to brand names, not understanding the content, the substance of the talent that's on that team currently.
Well, I think the poster child for that example last year would be Appalachian State.
Sure.
Against Michigan. Again, you know, I wrote a piece on this. When you spread people out, as long as my guys can run as fast as your guys can, my quarterback can deliver on time, I've got a chance to beat you. You know, at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. And again, not much time to get the ball off in this situation because Oklahoma's just that much superior up front. But given protection and time, if you've got skill position players on the perimeter, you're going to have a chance to win.
Bryce Macon with that sack for Oklahoma. What are their totals now? They have 6 on the game. They have 4. I believe it's 6 on the game now. 6 sacks after that one. Floyd to boot it away. Iglesias will call for a fair catch at the 41-yard line. That's where the Sooners will have it with 8:53 remaining. You might want to check the substance of a team before you start throwing dirt on them. Moses Madu is back in the game at running back for Oklahoma, the lone setback. Joey Halsley remains in at quarterback. And it's Madu stopped near the line of scrimmage.
He'll be ahead for a couple of yards to about the 45-yard line.
And this is good work for the sophomore Madu. I mean, again, you're running between the tackles, getting heavy. When you're in a game situation, you're spreading folks out. And you can always take edges and use your speed. But guys at the next level, evaluating talent, are looking for guys' willingness to run between the tackles and run heavy.
Madu again, ahead for about another yard and a half, maybe 2. Setting up a 3rd and 6. Rodney Beeman made the stop. You were discussing earlier about, and you see it in the newspapers now, Spencer, not even, you know, you hear it in the electronic media from time to time, football subdivision, championship subdivision. People have no idea what you're talking about.
Football bowl.
Yeah, it's Division I AA and it's Division 1A. You know, you're making one sport. The idea here was to try to make the 1AA schools not sound like a second-class citizen. And in so doing, they took away what little marquee value they really had that people could identify them with. That pass was caught, but it's Owens, and it's not enough for the first down, so Oklahoma will punt it away. But, you know, you look at the Southern Conference with the history of that league, teams like Furman, that have gone 1AA championships time and time again, Georgia Southern. I mean, that's a heck of a league. Appalachian State's won 3 in a row now. 3 Division I AA titles consecutively. So if you're Tennessee Chattanooga, you know, you're just saying, hey, we want to get better. We want to become an upper division team in our own conference. That's what we want.
Well, there's something about the term, you know, football championship subdivision to me that sounds a little bit like a backhand. You know what I mean? But that
sounds worse than 1AA to me.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Subdivision, that term itself.
Yeah, I mean, you know, whoever was in charge of that marketing plan missed out.
Maybe Emily can make sense of it.
Yeah, let's go down to Emily.
Well, I sure don't know if I can make sense of that, but I can tell you that Rodney Allison says he enjoys coaching in the football championship subdivision.
Ah, there you go. You got it right. Beautiful. Very
formerly
nice.
known as Division I AA, and he says he does because he feels like he can make more of an impact on these guys' lives, academically, athletically, all the things that go into it, because a lot of these guys aren't going to be going to the NFL, to the next level, and they fully realize that. So he feels like it's even more important for him to take care of them academically. He said so far his staff has done classroom checks for 236 classes thus far this season in the first 2 weeks of school. He says if you're not sitting in the first 2 rows of the class, you're running at 5:30 a.m. If you're late for class, you're running at 5:30 a.m. And he and his staff take that very seriously because they know that for the vast majority of these guys, this is the end of their football career and they've got other things to move on to, and he wants to make sure they're taken care of in that regard.
It's really, Emily, a different job. I mean, with the requisite tools it takes to be a head coach at the Division I AA level are different than what happens at the big-time Division 1A BCS school classification. And, you know, he's taken a hit with a record of 16-40 in 5 years. You have to check in your ego in the locker room door if you're going to do that as a head coach.
He had to gut this program. He started from scratch. But, you know, Emily brings up a great point. In that regard, it's almost like the academies. Those guys know that they're not going to play professional football, but yet and still he's been able to graduate 53 players over the last couple of years, which was unheard of prior to him coming on board 6-7 years ago. So he's done a tremendous job in his tenure there. You know,
Kerma again carries it ahead about a yard, and that's about it.
And Timmy, you know that much of what success is about at the collegiate level is repetition, same way in life. And I love how he and his coaches are there waiting on their kids when they go to school, you know, waiting for them to make sure that they get in their classes and do the things that are necessary to graduate. So he's not just talking a good game, his coaches are behind him.
He's got his son, Sloan Allison, in there now at quarterback. 6'3", 215-pound redshirt freshman, handing off to Kerma. So he's got his son out there. How many times have we had the occasion to talk about a father, a son, a ball and a dream, and young Sloan is having an opportunity to play for his dad. And his dad was one special player. He's already been given a tremendous award back in Lubbock at Texas Tech.
Nominated, elected, however you want to refer to it, as the
anointed,
the all-time best. And it wasn't just at the quarterback position. All-time best Texas Tech player.
That's pretty big.
Award.
Been a lot of good ones there.
I mean, even in recent years, if you look at from the quarterback position, Graham Harrell currently right now, Cliff Kingsbury.
I'll take you further back when Spike Dykes was there. Billy Joe Tolliver.
Oh yeah,
Billy Joe Tolliver was one whale of a quarterback in the mid '80s.
What about E.J. Hollop, guys? You remember that one? He's a little bit before my time, but he's a good, dear friend of mine.
Kansas City Chief, E.J. Hollop.
First guy to start 2 Super Bowls on both sides of the ball.
An original Dallas Texan turned Kansas City Chief, E.J. Hollop.
And an ornery old man.
Nice boot by Floyd there, and Iglesias calls for a fair catch at the 48-yard line. But Allison played in the old Southwest Conference when it was very, very difficult to go up against the challenges of teams like Texas and Arkansas in their heyday. SMU was really rolling at that particular time. And to be one of the best quarterbacks, he was the Southwest Conference offensive MVP in 1977.
You're talking about mobility, a guy that was a dual threat, could pass and pull it down and run with it. And he still looks like he's pretty slim. I mean, he puts on those shades, man. He looks pretty. He's got a little Chuck Amato in him, less about 60 pounds.
Look at Justin Johnson bounce out. He got hit at the line of scrimmage. And I believe we've got a holding penalty, and that may have enabled him to get outside on the edge to pick up the extra yardage.
Holding offense number 70. 10 yards from the previous spot.
He reminds me, Johnson, just watching him run. A lot of Oklahoma fans won't like this because it takes them back to a bad memory, but Justin Vincent in 2003, the incredible freshman Nick Saban had that big touchdown run to open the BCS title game. Kind of about the same size and build, has that kind of quickness to bounce outside. Reminds me a little of him. Halsley's pass is hauled in. And an acrobatic job that time by number 24 on the receiving end, Miller, for Oklahoma. DeJuan Miller, 6'5", 200-pound freshman out of New Jersey.
DeJuan did an excellent job of hanging on to that ball, too, sacrificing his body in the air.
Halsley again with a little bootleg action. Gets it out to Owens, and he's decked at the 37-yard line. Jamil has been active in this second half out of Creekview High School in Carrollton, Texas.
Well, the Oklahoma Sooners are just running their offense. And again, what Halsey's noticing, he's got an option either underneath and check down. And depending on what the safety does, he's either going to go over the top and try to get a big play or settle for the underneath route on the corner hitch. A little blitz action here.
Well, they ran right into it. Nothing doing that time.
You know, sometimes you guess right, and sometimes you guess wrong. You run right into a teeth of a corner cat blitz there, and it wasn't an all-out blitz, but again, it's fitting them up on defense. They had what you call a port side or a left side charge for the most part up front for the Mocs, and then they ran that little corner cat blitz and stuffed that.
Fataliga was the first one to get him. Doug Fataliga, number 52, out of Sacramento Community College, junior. Another nice read by the corner. Chris Lewis Harris is, as they say, getting his fair share of reps. James Hanna on the receiving end, reserve tight end, freshman from Flower Mound, Texas. But popped. Welcome to the game by another freshman, Chris Lewis Harris, who's been out there all night.
Little swing route there, got the ball open to him. That play designed to get him one-on-one and face him forward so he can make a move.
On 3rd and 15, at long last a sack for Tennessee Chattanooga, Jaron Norfleet. Sophomore from Brentwood High School, Nashville, Tennessee, making the play.
I know it's only 2 minutes and 20 seconds left in this game, but you know what? I call it the element of recency. What you see last, you tend to remember most, and you don't want to leave the game with sacks hanging over your head, because the coaches will remember that. Believe me, you'll pay for it in those meetings.
Jordan Hazard in single safety back at the 10-yard line for the Mocs. And a fumble. Sooners were in position to come away with it and may not have.
Awful close, too, on that cover.
Yes, it was. Well, guys, we got it. Back up, we got it. Looks like it's the Tennessee Chattanooga ball.
I don't know if it's a halo rule or not, but don't have it. But, man, I'll tell you.
I'm amazed that Oklahoma didn't come away with it. Yeah. The recovery did go to Jordan Hazard. He was quick to get there. A fortuitous bounce allowed him a chance to pick it up at the 23-yard line. Guys like Hazard and Chris Lewis Harris, they have played a lot tonight, and I know that Rodney Allison is saying, let's just get out of here. We've already injured Jared Galt tonight. We don't need to lose anyone else. Our starting quarterback's been hurt. He's very hopeful. I'm sure that he'll be okay and ready to go next week. That pass by Sloan Allison, the son of the coach, was caught. Joel Bradford on the receiving end, although I think they're going to rule it was not caught. Juggled along the sideline, so incomplete.
Sloan showing some mobility moving out of the pocket.
Yeah, he looked pretty good there.
He did, didn't he?
Got a lot of confidence. Running off the right side again, Kerma. Stopped at the 25-yard line. Well, they had their 56th consecutive sellout tonight, and I believe this is the 19th consecutive home win for Oklahoma, which would be the longest in Division 1A football after tonight's victory.
Bob Stoops' only loss here in openers, I think, what, twice in his now 10-year, going on 10-year career?
Had that difficult one a few years back against, was it North Texas, I believe?
Texas,
Kind of shocked everyone. And we have premature movement with flags falling. Chris Harr, the left tackle, moved early.
Number 70 of the offense, 5-yard penalty, remains third down.
At the end of this day, I think a lot of people are going to be talking, Spencer, about the win for East Carolina. Clemson being blown out by Alabama. Boy, what a tough night for the ACC. Day and night. Virginia Tech goes by the boards, and Clemson, really their one top 5 or top 10 threat, knocked out by what would be perceived as a mediocre 7-6 Alabama team of a year ago.
And you know, James Davis, their top runner, was a senior, was contemplating coming out and going to the National Football League, but chose rather to stay high in a championship, perhaps in that conference. Looks like they may be on the short end of that, given their history of folding late.
And that'll do it. Bob Stoops and the Oklahoma Sooners come away with a 57-2 victory in a game that took a little longer than originally anticipated, with an hour-and-a-half delay due to weather at halftime. Well, Cincinnati comes in next Saturday in a game that will be regionally televised. The Bearcats will be no easy out. That's a pretty good team. They play very well defensively.
In the last few years, that defense has really come on. We always knew that they had a very formidable offense, but boy, pulling off a number of upsets over the last 2 or 3 years. Cincinnati Bearcats is one of those teams that you talked about. You got to read the label on and know more than what the tradition suggests.
By the way, we want to thank the Oklahoma Sports Information Department, led by Ken Mossman, for all of their cooperation and help, and Joe Castiglione, the Director of Athletics here. Also the Sports Information Director from Tennessee Chattanooga, Jeff Romero, and the fine work that he's doing for Rick Hart, the Athletic Director with Tennessee Chattanooga, for all of their help and cooperation. Let's go down to Emily Jones, who's got Coach Stoops.
Guys, thanks. Well, Coach, I know you were pleased going into the locker room. I would assume you're not as pleased going into the locker room this time. It seemed like the rain delay had an effect on both you guys.
Well, and in the end, you're trying to run the clock out. You don't want to put up too many points, so you're throwing short routes or running it. They squeeze you. You don't want to throw it on top. There's no good way to end the game, like that. So, we executed when we needed to, and we ran out the clock when we needed to.
So what do you take from this? Is it kind of like you said, a no-win situation when you play a second half like this?
Well, again, you're trying to manage the clock and not put up points. So you do the best you can. You got to move the chain, so you try and run short routes. You try and run the ball when they know you're going to run it, and the safeties are down there at 8 yards. Sometimes it's just tough, But in the end, overall, it was a solid day, And again, second halves like this, they're a coach's nightmare. Always have been, always will be.
But first half great. Manuel Johnson had a great night for you.
He had an excellent night. He's a big-time player for us, and we're excited to see him making those big plays. He'll make a bunch more this year.
All right, Coach. Thanks so much for the time. Congratulations. The Sooners off to a 1-0 start. And guys, speaking of the guy that we were just talking about, he's right here with us, Manuel Johnson. Manuel, a career night for you, and you did it pretty much in the first half for most of your damage. How did it feel out there tonight?
I mean, it felt good. We came out with the new offense. It looked pretty good. And, Sam was on, offensive line was on, so it looked pretty good.
When you take a team like this, I know you've been dying to play anybody but yourselves, but is it hard to try and maintain that level of play because, like Coach Stoops just talked about, not wanting to run up the score, not wanting to, pour it on, so to speak?
Well, no matter who you play, you always want to come out and execute. That's what we did the first half. Second half, we came out kind of slow, but after a while, we kind of got it going.
What can you take from this game, and where do you think you guys as a unit might try to improve?
We just have to look at the positive things. We did good, moving the ball up and down the field. We didn't get many two-minute situations or any 4-minute situations, so I'm sure we'll look at that. And we just got to come out in the second half and start better.
All right, nonetheless, 1-0. Nice start to the season, Manuel. We do appreciate the time. And Manuel Johnson, 9 catches, 120 yards, and a touchdown, guys.
All right, Emily, thank you. And the words of both Manny and obviously Coach Stoops ring true. It was a very difficult second half to play, but I think the fans wanted it, and I really believe that the administrations of both schools had to have been in some consultation about the direction that they needed to go, and obviously the EMT and meteorological reports they were waiting to get, they chose to go ahead and play. I certainly hope that Jared Galt is okay, the quarterback for Tennessee Chattanooga. It was unfortunate to see him go down with what appeared to be a shoulder or arm injury.
And he came in this game, of course, with a bad ankle, and he had a special brace made for it. So, again, the fact that it happened so early in the second half when we talked about it, there would be possibility of injuries incurred as a result of the layoff. So I think he's going to be fine.
I loved Bob's response to Emily. He, again, pulls no punches.
He felt the same thing we were feeling.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? The idea, and we weren't questioning, we were simply pointing out that Halsley had come into the game. He had already said at halftime, and Emily correctly reminded us that he had said, you know what, they're not done. They need to get a few more reps in. He decided to stay with that, but yet he was going to run a package that was hopefully going to allow them to be somewhat successful, improve, and yet maybe not score as much.
Well, again, I think the point he made in his comments, at the end of the day, when you try to protect yourself, defensively, you become easy to stop because you move a lot of bodies around the line of scrimmage.
And you begin to wonder as a coach, am I putting my guys in harm's way?
That's the point. Again, if there are 8 men down in that box, you're in trouble, big time.
It's a violent game, and you've got to take that into consideration. When we come back, we'll wrap everything up here from Norman at the Gaylord Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium. Owen Field, the 114th season of Oklahoma football got off to a great start.